Alright, are we back? Is this thing working? Alright, so as we get started, a new pack of Pokemon cards just dropped. The new expansion, Extradimensional Crisis. And, last time they dropped a new pack with the Celestial Guardians, we opened up a few. And so I thought, it made sense to try to open up another few. I would love to make it bigger, but I don't know how to do that. Well, that. Oh, and I forgot to change the fucking main feed, so the text stuff. That's a little bigger. I can work with that. Alright, let's open up some packs. We're gonna pay for a 10-pack. We're gonna open up a 10-pack. We'll see what we get. Alright, so this is the Ultra Beast set. I've already gotten a few of these cards, right? I've already gotten a few cards opened up. So we're going to see what we get. Petalilly, Crocodile, Sandile, Phantom, a Blacephalon. I really like Blacephalon. I have a shiny Blacephalon. It's one of the few shiny cards I do have. So that's always a cool get. That does not seem like a good card, though. It does 70 damage to itself. I mean, I know Giratina is really popular right now, and that only does like 30, but still. Yeah, that's not good. I don't care for... I like all the Ultra Beasts, with the exception of Poipole. Poipole is just doesn't do it for me. Naganadell's okay. I like the shiny a lot. A Shinx, another Shinx, and there's something. Oh, it's the Rowlet. I don't know what the full art for this set is. Or the illustration. Electrical Cord, a Rockruff, a Clefairy, Celesteela. I have the artwork for that one, the illustration. Or maybe it's the full... I don't remember what's the illustration and what's the full art. I think I have the illustration for that one. Kartana. Decidueye. Herdier, Mantine, Sandygast, Crocodile, Looker. Hey, it's Looker. Allegedly, Looker might be back in Legends ZA because Looker was in every Pokemon game from Platinum all the way until what? I want to say Sun and Moon, and then they haven't shown up since. They weren't in Sword and Shield. They weren't in Scarlet and Violet. I'm like, why not? Oh my god, look at that. Oh, I love Silvally. I wish they were actually, good. I think Silvally is really cool, and they're just not a good Pokemon. Dog Trio. Okay, whatever. Rowlet, Sandygast. Put some Electric Cord, and another Aggron. Ferrothorn, Sandygast, Lilligant, Herdier, another Ferrothorn. Alright, this is pack 9. Luxio, Petalilly, Claydol. I might have actually owned that Claydol card. That looks familiar. Alright, final pack. Beware, Morlul, Lairon, Pansimian, and another Claydol. So I feel like it started strong, and we were good in the middle there, and then it just kind of tapered off near the end. Because, yeah, that Rowlet's good. Celesteela, Decidueye. The Looker is great. The Silvally's great. And then, yes, pack 6 was our last good pack. The last few were just kind of on fumes. So that kind of sucks. Let's see. So there are 70 main cards in this set. I would love... because I still have never finished a set. I am literally only missing a single card in Shining Revelry. I'm missing the EX Pikachu, which no matter how much I try, I cannot get. Yeah, if we come over here. Where is it? Oh, Celestial Garden. Shining Revelry, 71 out of 72. And I'm just missing the EX Pikachu right there. Missing a bunch from Celestial Guardians. But you know, we're working on Extradimensional Crisis. Anything good in the Wonder Picks? I've been trying... There's been a Wonder Pick event going on right now with Solgaleo. I have tried 4 times to get the Solgaleo from the... Because I don't have it in the Celestial Guardian set. I cannot get it. I have tried so many times. And it just does not want to get... Here's the Naganadel. Okay, nothing that really stands out. Alright, let me boot this all, or let me check my missions real quick. Okay. Alright, let me shut this all down. Give me a minute. And then we will, let me change the stream title stuff, and then we'll get started. I also gotta boot up the Switch real quick. Okay, there's that one. Alright, I always forget how fast 3D All-Stars loads. It loads so quickly. It is maybe the fastest loading Switch game. No proof of that, but it might be. Alright, so why are we doing it on a Sunday? Well, a lot came up, honestly. Not really, like, anything, like, important. That was all last week, which we'll talk about, obviously. I mean, it's in the title. But it's more that I just kind of got busy. You know, I went over to my parents on Friday and was helping out with Splatoon, which we will talk about that. And Balatro. Well, I have it scheduled for the end. And then I went and saw a movie yesterday, which we will also talk about. I have seen Lilo and Stitch now. And it was literally like, by the time I finished up with both of those things, it was like 11 o'clock at night. And I was just like, nah, you know, we could start right now. But I'm not gonna. I'm good. I've also been doing some cleaning and whatnot. I've been busy. Work's been busy. But I found time right now. I mean, we could have done this later in the day, but I was like, fuck it, let's do a midday one. You know, we're already 2 days late as is. Next week we will hopefully be on time. I don't know, next week's show is going to be weird because Summer Games Fest is next week. And Summer Games Fest is at like 3. I think it starts at 3 local time. And then that goes for like 2 hours. So we'll watch that. I do plan on doing that live. I know last year we learned that Summer Games Fest is a lot more enjoyable when you watch it at double speed. And I still more or less stand by that. But we're going to watch Summer Games Fest. Then maybe we'll do the show right after. And we'll boot up the Switch 2. We'll talk about that, of course. Because I know the Switch 2 comes out on Thursday. I do not plan on streaming Thursday. I know I've just become an in-chat channel. Or WIBE, excuse me. You know, you call it the same thing for what, 8 years? 7 years? I've been doing the show as long as the Switch 2 has existed. Or this original Switch, I mean. You call it something for so long, and it's kind of hard to change that. But yeah, I've been doing the show as long as this podcast has existed. As long as the Switch has existed, I've been doing this podcast. And so, that's kind of all we do nowadays, sadly. I should do other stuff. Like, at some point I want to do Little Gator Game. Because I know the sequel's coming out later this year. And we've already done a bunch of Zelda games. And Little Gator Game is basically a Zelda game. So I do plan on doing that at some point. I just don't know when. But yeah, so we'll do Summer Games Fest, and I was thinking we just do the show right after, or maybe we do a break. I don't know. I don't know. It depends on what news is happening next week. We'll see. We might just tail them up together, because then there's also an Xbox show on Sunday. So we do that. I think is at noon? Question mark. I don't know. I'd have to check. We have that. I don't know if Devolver's doing a show this year. I admittedly haven't checked. Devolver Digital Showcase 2025. It says here, this is on their Twitter. Please join us for a special Devolver Direct this year for a showcase for one of our small developers making a tremendous little game called Ball X Pit. Ball X Pit, the Kenny Sun story, June 6th at 5 p.m. Pacific time. Okay, so I guess they're doing something. I'd like to hope this Ball X Pit is a real thing, like it's a real serious game. That maybe they're not doing jokes and japes this year, but actually just showing off a real game. That'd be cool, but, you know, it might not be that. But they're doing something. I don't know, the artwork here is very interesting. You've got like a giant skull with 4 eyes. You've got a little night guy, a bug. I don't know, it's Devolver, you can never tell. So yeah. But yeah, okay, so we got all that. That'll be coming up in the future. Today, we're doing Summer Games Fest predictions. We're going to talk about Summer Games Fest, the main show. I've got a bunch of things I just wrote down. We'll see if any. I should make a bingo. I know I'm not a bingo guy, but I really should. Summer Games Fest is such a generic show that I could probably make a bingo and just get away with it. But I've got a bunch of different things from that. Even though I probably could strike that one, because I think that one does have a separate showcase. I have an Xbox thing. I admittedly don't have much for an Xbox show. I wrote down a few things. I hope there's a few surprises coming from Xbox. But everything I can think of from Xbox is either like, oh yeah, we've known about this for years and they haven't said anything. Or it's just something else. We got a PlayStation show. There is, at this moment, no confirmed PlayStation show, but it is rumored. So I wrote down, like, 2 things. A Nintendo show. The Switch 2 releases this week, and there is a rumor that we're going to get a Nintendo show either this week or next week. Which, I know some people say it's too early, you know, let the Switch 2 ruminate for a little bit. I disagree. I think people are buying the Switch 2. We kind of have a good idea of what we're looking forward to this year. But I feel like there's just a few little things missing, so tell us a little bit more. And then, give us a teaser for next year. That's the thing. I think, like, give us one big teaser game to look forward to in next year. We'll talk about it. And then I have a miscellaneous section, which I guess we'll briefly talk about. Then finally, we got news. We got 3 stories. 2 of them are Nintendo. One of them is about that Black Panther game, so we'll talk about that. And then I've got a bunch of shit for WIBE. I went on a little vacation, so we're going to talk about that. I went and saw the Party Animals take on the Texas Tailgaters. We'll talk about it. Due to the circumstances of that trip, I do have some food stuff to talk about, which is kind of unique, kind of. And then I do have 2 other food things as well. I got stuff from Sonic Burger, and I got stuff from Jack in the Box. I have 3 video games. I have... God, I messed up. I messed up. I'm back in the grind. We'll talk about it. And then Balatro, as I hinted at earlier. And then we got Rick and Morty, which the Season 8 premiered last week? I guess a week from today, or a week ago from yesterday. And then Lilo and Stitch, which I have some thoughts on. Not anything that somebody else probably hasn't already said, but just some observations. So we're going to talk about all of that, obviously, while playing the worst level in Super Mario Sunshine. If I remember correctly, people hate this level. Alright, let's get to our topic of the show. So, like was being said earlier, Summer Games Fest, or E3, what was formerly known as E3 season, I now call Summer Games Fest season. E3 is dead. I know some people want E3 back. I don't think we need E3 back, especially not the way it was before. The way it was before kinda sucked. E3 kinda sucked. And I feel like in the modern world, there are better ways to do E3 than what's currently going on. Jeff Keighley, of course, has his Summer Games Fest. Xbox is always down to do a big June show. They always come out and support, and I'm always excited for that. Because Xbox has had some good shows over the years. They really have. And then PlayStation and Nintendo, while their presence is not guaranteed, they have shown up, you know, basically every year to every other year. Usually, the one nice thing about E3 was that it all took place over a single weekend. So that way, you know, you always knew that from basically that Sunday through, what, Tuesday, Wednesday, the following day. You know, usually you started off the show with an Xbox showcase on Sunday, or maybe it was Monday. You got PlayStation showcase later that night. Nintendo did their showcase on the following Monday morning. And then, you know, there was a Ubisoft and an EA show at some point in there as well. Right? It was all like, hey, it's now in one weekend. Whereas nowadays, it's all splitting up by week. Summer Games Fest is usually on a Friday. Xbox usually does their show right after. And then about a week later, PlayStation usually does their show. And then a week later, Nintendo does their show. So instead of just being a weekend, it's now basically a whole month. And I do get why that kind of sucks. But, you know, anyone who's ever worked E3 can tell you, working E3 was hell. Admittedly, it's not something I personally experienced, but I knew people who did, and it was just a fucking mess. You'd go in, you know, oh, you get to see the new games, and then you get to play some of the stuff early, but then you're up until like 5 a.m. writing about it, just to have to go in the next morning. It sucked. From what I heard, it sucked to work E3. But it sucks to work any convention like that. Or any trade show is probably the more accurate comparison. But yeah, so right now we only know about Summer Games Fest, and we know about an Xbox showcase. There might be a few other things. I think Day of the Devs is coming back. They usually do a PC game showcase that always, you know, happens. I don't know, let me look up. Is there like a Summer Games Fest schedule? let's see. So, according to Summer Games Fest, there is, of course, Summer Games Fest on the 6th at 2 p.m. Pacific Time. Day of the Devs is right afterwards. Devolver is after that. Then on the 7th, there is the Wholesome Games Direct. I don't have any predictions for that, but Wholesome Games Direct is usually good. There's a women-led Summer Games Fest edition. There's a Latin America game showcase. A Southeast Asian game showcase. Green Games. I have no idea what that is. Real World. I'm assuming green, like, you know, like Green New Deal, stuff like that. Like, social, or change. Yeah. Frosty Games Fest? No idea what that is. Australia and New Zealand. I guess they are in winter months, so I guess that makes sense. Yeah, because it's Summer Games Fest, Frosty Games Fest. Okay, I get that. There's an Xbox showcase on the 8th. A PC gaming show also on the 8th, right after the Xbox show. A Death Stranding game premiere. And then finally, a Black Voices in Gaming BVIG showcase on Monday. And again, there might be a few other things. Those are just the ones they have listed on their Summer Games Fest homepage. I know there's also usually the Accessibility Showcase. I think that's still going on this year. I'd have to check. Blue Sky. Laura K. Dale usually does an Accessibility Showcase, which I've always just found fascinating. It's a really, if you've never watched it, it's a really interesting thing. I love the innovation and accessibility stuff. I feel like that's always very interesting to see what people are doing, how it's evolving. Let me check. Laura K. Dale. I'm checking on Blue Sky. This year's Summer Accessibility Showcase, sponsored by the Minicast Studios. It is Friday, June 6th at 4 p.m. British Standard Time, which is 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific. Okay, so this Friday is the Accessibility Summer Showcase. So that's another thing to go check out. But yeah, so we got a lot of things, but you know, today we're just gonna do predictions for the main 4 shows. Assuming Nintendo and PlayStation do a showcase this year, which, who knows? Let's start off with Summer Games Fest itself. So, things that I could see in Summer Games Fest. Well, the first thing I thought of was Death Stranding 2. Now, I admittedly did not know there was a Death Stranding 2 game preview thing on Sunday. So I know the game comes out in a few weeks, but I could still see Jeff Keighley bring out Hideo Kojima and be like, hey, check out Death Stranding 2. It releases here in like 2 weeks. I see a little bit of that mentioned. In some way, shape, or form, Hideo Kojima's going to come out. He's going to talk about Death Stranding 2. I don't think he's going to talk about... I know he's working on a new horror game with Jordan Peele. And yes, I am interested in that because I love Jordan Peele's work. I'm not a horror movie guy. Jordan Peele is the one exception. He is so good at what he does. So, that has me interested, but I don't know if I'll get to that or anything. But I doubt he'll talk about that. I feel like he's going to focus on Death Stranding 2, if that happens at all. Intergalactic, the Heretic Prophecy. I know Neil Druckmann just revealed, he just talked about how... that game's in steady development. I know some people say, well, wouldn't that be at a PlayStation showcase? Who knows? That's the thing, like, when PlayStation doesn't do a showcase, they usually put their stuff in Summer Games Fest. And even sometimes when they do a showcase, they put themselves in Summer Games Fest anyways. So it's kind of hard to tell where PlayStation stuff is going to be. I put it here, though, just because... I know there was also a recent talk that I guess Naughty Dog is working on a second game as well. I think it's too early to see that. It's probably also too early to see any more of Intergalactic. But I put it on here anyway, just to kind of be safe. But I think that makes sense. Sonic Racing Cross Worlds. I think that was revealed at the Game Awards. So I think it would make sense to see some more of Sonic Racing Cross Worlds, specifically to get a release date. Because while they had their open beta back in September, as far as I know, we do not have a release date for Sonic Racing Cross Worlds. We haven't basically heard anything about it since, outside of, the beta. It's crazy that since the beta, basically an entire Mario Kart was announced and released before we even found out the release date. That's kind of wild. Not that the two really need to be compared. I just find it interesting. But I could see it getting some updates on Sonic Cross Worlds. A release date would be nice. Even if I wasn't the biggest fan of the beta, I could see us getting a new Sonic game. To be fair, it has been a while since our last Sonic game. I mean, Shadow Generations came out a while ago, but I could see them announcing something new, something 2D potentially. Maybe a Frontiers 2 that's coming out, maybe not this year, but next year. I could see us getting something new from Sonic Hedgehog. Or maybe, I know Sega has announced a bunch of other video games. I think they're doing a new Jet Set Radio. I think they're doing a new Crazy Taxi. Sega has like 6 or 7 games in development right now that they have previously shown off at the Game Awards. So I could see us getting some updates on that, finding out some more information. Just something from Sega. I think a new Sonic wouldn't surprise me, but I could legitimately see anything else as well. I used to love Crazy Taxi, and I'm excited for a new one, but I feel like that's kind of like Skate 4. That's one of those games that's really easy to fuck up if you don't do it right, and I could easily see Sega fucking it up. Borderlands 4 I have on here. I'm not a big Borderlands fan, and I know last week we talked about Randy Pitchford putting his shoe in his mouth, but I could see Borderlands 4. Again, these showcases take months to plan. Like, literally the moment the Game Awards ends, Jeff Keighley starts planning Summer Games Fest. And then the moment Summer Games Fest ends, he starts planning the Game Award, right? They go back and forth. So, honestly, fully realistically, I could see them, Borderlands 4 has been in the showcase for a while now, and now they're finally going to talk about it. And, maybe they'll bring Randy Pitchford on stage, and maybe he'll not say something stupid this time, or, knowing Randy Pitchford, maybe he'll fucking double down, because that's totally a Randy thing. Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 and 4, we know that comes out here in, like a month? I think it's early July. I am interested, if less so than I was before, because the fact that they're taking away all the mission stuff from 4 really killed all my excitement for that game. But I want to like it, So we'll just kind of have to wait and see. We'll just kind of have to wait and see, obviously. But I would love fucking update. We know they're doing a SpongeBob DLC, but so maybe they announce something else, new skater, new weird DLC place. Maybe we're skating through the sewers of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Maybe there's a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle playable character. I know we're getting Doom Guy, but that would be another very fun one. One of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is a skateboarder. I want to say Michelangelo. So that would be a cool one. I don't know. I just picked the first thing that came to my mind. Shadow Labyrinth. This was announced at the Game Awards. This is that Pac-Man game, where they made Pac-Man into like this kind of gritty Metroidvania style game, which is super weird and kind of dumb, but it's dumb in a way that I love. I remember hating this level. I do. I remember hating this one. So I could see us seeing some more Shadow Labyrinth. I think it comes out like next month. I want to say it's got a release date. I know it was in the Nintendo Showcase recently, but I could see us getting something. Does it have a release date? Yeah, July 18th. Yeah, so that's next month. I can see us getting on, I know Elden Ring Night Rain just came out on Friday. I could see us getting something about that. Maybe just like, hey, here's something to look forward to. Because it's a multiplayer Souls-like game. And while I know reception. I know people have mixed feelings on Night Rain right now. Like, there are some basic... Like, it doesn't have, like, a chat function. So that way, when you're trying to coordinate with other people, it's just kind of weird. I know I saw someone complaining that there was no duos. I don't know all the problems with Elden Ring Night Rain, but I know people do have issues. So them coming out and being like, hey, guess what? You know, we're going to be updating it. We're going to be working on it. I feel like that would be a good thing for them to say. Tales of the Shire. This is that Hobbit game that gets... I feel like it's at every one of these showcases. It's at Nintendo, it's at Xbox, it's at PlayStation. It probably is... It's going to be at one of these shows. I put it here in Summer Games Fest because I didn't know where else to put it. But whoever's behind this is clearly putting a lot of money into it. I've heard it's not actually that good. Because, you know, it's a farming sim Lord of the Rings where you're playing as hobbits. That sounds like it should be fun, you know, making Harvest Moon, but with the hobbits. That should be good, but I guess the game isn't actually that good, which that kind of sucks. I know for people who would want that, who are excited for that, that does kind of suck. Mafia: The Old Country, just, again, another one of those games that just kind of, it doesn't really fit in anywhere else. Could it be at an Xbox showcase? Of course. But I could see it being at Summer Game, just the general Summer Games Fest. Especially because I think it was revealed at the Game Awards, so that just kind of makes sense. Hades 2, I know Hades 2 was at the recent Nintendo Direct, but they are still in early access. We do not have a release date outside of, you know, claiming it's releasing this year. So if it shows up, it was revealed at either the Game Awards. I think it was revealed at the Game Awards. I could see it being here, and I could see us getting, hey, Hades 2 will be on Switch 2, Xbox, PlayStation, PC, Epic Game Store, all that. On, let's just say they give it a November release date. I could see them officially making that reveal here. Because we know it's coming, it's just a matter of when. And I'd like to hope they're well along in the process of Hades 2. I don't know. Ratings... I've never played it. I haven't watched any videos on it. But I've read a few things, and I know they've done some big content updates. So I'd like to hope they're closer to release, but you never know. Judas. This is Ken Levine. Ken Levine? The guy who made BioShock. I think it's Ken Levine. This is his new game. I don't know if it's going to be good. Well, I still do love the original BioShock. I feel like people have turned on BioShock Infinite, and I totally get it, honestly. I do. So that does kind of make me worried about whatever his new thing's going to be. I don't know. It's been a long time. It's been a very weird development. But I could see Judas being here. Supposedly it's going to come out this year. If that's true, maybe we'll get a release date and like an extended gameplay thing. But if not, then I don't expect anything. Little Nightmares 3. Again, I think this was at a previous Summer Games Fest / Game Awards. So I think it would just make sense for it to be here. No guarantees, obviously, but I think it could. Alright. And then I have Subnautica 2 on here. Again, I think same thing. It was at a previous one of these showcases. I can see it showing back up again here. I think, I don't know, do people like, are people excited for Subnautica 2? I feel like Subnautica, I have fond memories of the original Subnautica. Not that it's a perfect game or anything, but I do remember playing it. I do remember it being kind of interesting. But then Below Zero came out, and I feel like nobody talked about Subnautica Below Zero. It just wasn't as interesting, as popular. So I don't know if people are excited for Subnautica 2. Kind of like Ark. There's another one that could be here. I know Ark Survival Evolved. I know they had a sequel that was maybe canceled. This is another place I could see that. I don't know. Do people care about that anymore? I legitimately have no idea. But I guess we'll just have to kind of wait and see. And that's kind of all my Summer Games Fest predictions. Admittedly, I don't have that many. I mean, that's just kind of all the popular stuff that's coming out that's not really attached to Xbox, PlayStation, or Nintendo. So I could just kind of see any of that stuff being there. Usually there's always some surprises. There's usually also some bullshit. Like most Summer Games Fest are filled up with like space games, specifically space horror games. So I could definitely see us getting a space horror game or two. There'll always be some surprises, some stuff from smaller developers. That's always good to hear about. But of like the big main things, yeah, that's kind of what I expect. Xbox, like I said, I don't really have much for Xbox. The one thing we 100% know is going to be there is The Outer Worlds 2. Even though Avowed just came out in February, I guess Obsidian, you know, they've been working hard on both their games, and now they're trying to release them at the same time. We know GTA isn't coming out this year, which, by the way, we're not going to hear anything about GTA at any of these shows. Just FYI, GTA is not going to be at any of these. But yeah, I would love to, you know, I liked the original Outer Worlds. I'm not going to say it's one of the best games ever. I'm not going to say it's Obsidian's best game or anything. But I enjoyed it well enough. It was a fine game. It was the first, when I bought an Xbox, it was the first game I played. Well, I bought it. I got an old one from my roommate. An Xbox One. Yeah, it was the first game I played. The Outer Worlds was fine. There's a lot of changes they could make to make it better. And I hope that with a sequel, they're going to be doing that, and they're going to make something a lot better. But I guess we'll just kind of have to wait and see. But we know they're going to spend some time after the main show talking about that. So that doesn't surprise me. The bigger question, is it actually coming out this year? Or is it going to be delayed until next year? Because with GTA pulling out of this year, I could see them just doing it this year. But we also know that GTA at the earliest is May. So if they want to try to take up that February release slot, like they did with Avowed this year, I think that's fine. Admittedly, Avowed is complicated, because nobody who I know played Avowed disliked it. It just didn't get the popular reception that people wanted it to. I don't know, it's a weird one. Like, I'm not rooting for or against it. It was just kind of in a weird scenario, and the way people reacted to it seemed very extreme for a game that just didn't really stand out, and maybe that was the problem. Fable, it's been a long... I feel like every year we hear more about Fable, the new Fable game, and it's always just, oh, hear more about it next year, and that's how it's been for the past, 4 years. So maybe this year we finally find out some more about Fable. Maybe this year it finally gets a release after, again, at least 6 years of development, if not more. Or maybe they just kick the can down the line in another year. Another game that's in a very similar situation, Perfect Dark. At least we've actually, because as far as I know, we've never actually gotten gameplay of Fable. It's always been just like cutscenes and like scripted events and whatnot. At least Perfect Dark, I mean, we got like a mission from the game with what is supposed to be gameplay. So maybe we'll actually get something from Perfect Dark this year. I don't know, nothing's guaranteed, but I think one of those two is possible. I don't know, if I remember hearing correctly, Perfect Dark was basically in development hell, and while things might have gotten better, I don't think they've gotten too much better. So there's that. I don't know, I'd like to, Xbox has to have something coming out this year outside of like Gears of War Reloaded. Yeah, they're remaking the original Gears of War. I think it comes out in September. But you know, Xbox actually has like, so far this year, Xbox has actually put out a decent output. They had Doom, they had South of Midnight, they had Avowed, they had Indiana Jones in December. Xbox has put out a decent showing in just the past few months. So, you know, with all these studios they've bought up, you know, hopefully we continue seeing the fruits of their labor. New Call of Duty, I mean, we'll see. Again, Xbox signed a deal with Nintendo to put Call of Duty on the Nintendo Switch too. Even though it's an Xbox showcase, I could see either the most recent Call of Duty, the next Call of Duty, or Warzones. One of those three. It's going to be one of those three. Make it to Switch 2 this holiday season. Presumably it'd be the newest one. I don't know, that's a deal that might take another year or two to, you know, squash out. But we know that's coming eventually. So I can see that. But they own Activision Blizzard King, so they might show off some stuff. I don't know, what does Activision Blizzard King have in development? That's the thing, I legitimately have no idea what the fuck Activision Blizzard King has been doing. My one hope for an Xbox showcase is always a Banjo-Kazooie remake, a remaster. I don't need a new Banjo-Kazooie. I want them to remake 1 and 2, fix some of the problems with 2, make the controls on 1 a lot better, basically do what they did for Crash and Spyro to the original Banjo-Kazooie. Do I think that's going to happen? No. No, I don't. But, you know, especially because an Xbox executive a few months ago said that they have no interest in going back. I think that's fucking stupid, but, you know, it's Xbox. They can do what they want. I know Toys for Bob is working on a new game. We know Toys for Bob is doing something. I might have been partnered with that. Because I know Toys for Bob went independent. But then after they went independent, they announced that they're going to work on something with Microsoft. So maybe they're doing a new IP and working with Microsoft, Activision, Blizzard King, Ubisoft, Bethesda, EA, whatever. I don't know, it was one of those studios. So I could see us getting an update from Toys for Bob, but I want a Banjo-Kazooie, but it's not going to happen. Anything else from Xbox? They've bought up so many teams that, like, honestly, any of them could be updated. Like, I don't expect anything new from Double Fine. I know we had Psychonauts a few years ago, but Double Fine's one of those studios that takes their sweet time. So I don't expect an update from Double Fine. What other studios? Let me look up Xbox partners real quick. Xbox Game Studios. I know there's a rumor about Minecraft Dungeons 2. I don't expect anything of that. We just got Compulsion. I don't remember the Coalition. Is Coalition the one doing Perfect Dark? I cannot remember. I don't expect anything. No, the Initiative is doing Perfect Dark. I don't know what the Coalition does. Oh, the Coalition is doing Gears of War. Okay. In Exile. I have no idea what this is. Oh yeah, Clockwork Revolution. That's a game. That was a game that was revealed 2 years ago in 2023. And it was kind of like, it reminded me of like a BioShock, but there's time travel, and when you travel through time, it presumably, it kind of reminds me of like BioShock meets Dishonored. It kind of, something like that, but with time travel, where as you do stuff in time, it affects like the present. Kind of like in a Dishonored, where like whether you take the stealth or the assassination approach. I don't know. I'd love to see an update on it, but I want to say that game restarted development. It's been a few years, but I want to say there was a story that like things weren't going well. We're getting Obsidian. I think I know Rare had another game that they had announced, like Everwilds or something like that. I think that game also did restart development. Something went wrong. I think we did get an update that was going wrong. So I don't expect to see any of that. Playground games. They did Forza? Is that? I don't think we're going to get a new Forza, but we might. I don't think so, though. Undead Labs. I don't expect anything from... I mean, we just got Oblivion. I don't expect anything else from Bethesda. I don't expect, The only thing I could see coming is if they're doing Fallout 3, that could happen. Either that or they announced, hey, guess what? Fallout 4 is coming to Switch 2. I could see that happening at one of these shows. I mean, the Switch got Skyrim. Skyrim ran fine on Switch. I think Fallout 4 would run well on Switch 2. Oh, of course, we get an update for either Elder Scrolls Online, Fallout 76, or both. I don't know. Are they still updating Elder Scrolls Online? I know it was like, it celebrated its 10-year anniversary this year. But I honestly don't know if we're getting anything new from them. I have no idea what Undead Labs is. I just went through their website and didn't find anything. Okay. But yeah, I could see something from Bethesda being ported to Switch 2, but I don't think that'll be I don't know. The other thing that will come at this Xbox conference is, so there was talks this week. We know Xbox a few weeks ago where there was a rumor that they were working on a handheld system. That, hey, the 10th generation of consoles, they'll of course be whatever the follow-up to the Xbox Series X is, but there will also be a handheld Xbox. Basically the Xbox equivalent of like the Steam Deck. And Xbox has been pushing big into their everything is an Xbox, your TV is an Xbox, your Fire Stick is an Xbox. I don't think they have a Chromecast thing for Xbox. I don't think like the Google TVs can be Xboxes yet. I don't know. I admittedly have no idea. But Xbox was allegedly working on a handheld, and so, as of a new story that came out on like Friday this week, that's kind of being indefinitely delayed. Like, they're kind of killing the project for all intents and purposes. That doesn't mean Xbox doesn't have something planned, because Xbox has teamed up with Aces to make a sort of Aces handheld hybrid thing that will be able to run like Xbox games on the Microsoft Store with Game Pass. So my guess is this is already leaked. Like, this has already been a thing in development. We have seen what this thing looks like. So that might be a thing we see at the showcase is, the official reveal of that, the release window, all that. I don't know, people like that Aces Rogue thing. I've never used it, obviously. I've never even used the Steam Deck. But people seem to like it, so if that's what they're doing, then yeah, okay, I get it. Instead of, spending all their R&D time making their own. So we'll see. But that's kind of my thoughts on the Xbox showcase. We'll see how much, if any, of that we get. So now on to the showcases we know nothing about. So for PlayStation, there was a rumor earlier this week that we were going to get a PlayStation showcase. Let me correct it. Not a PlayStation showcase, a state of play. The difference is, usually PlayStation does their showcase, which is like their big showing with all of their big games. And then they have a smaller thing, which is the state of play. That's your Nintendo Directs. They usually have like one or two big things, whereas the showcase is just a bunch of big things. So the rumor is that we are not going to be getting a PlayStation showcase. Oops, wrong button. But instead we're going to be getting a State of Play. And you know what? I think that's possible. I think it is totally possible that we get a PlayStation showcase or a PlayStation State of Play, because it's been a while. I know people didn't exactly care for the last PlayStation State of Play showcase, whatever, but I could see us getting something new. I don't know. It's one of those things that I could totally see happening. But the first thing when you ask like, oh, what would be at a PlayStation showcase? My first thought would be Marathon, which is the new game made by Bungie, rebooting a classic franchise, which that would make sense. However, if you haven't been keeping up with the news, that game is kind of in hot water right now, and the developers are seemingly spiraling, because basically the head artist on that game, someone with major influence on that game's art design, was plagiarizing. They were copying and stealing somebody else's artwork and both put it into that game, but then also took somebody else's artwork and used it as the main design influence on the game's, right, on all the game's assets. So basically that game's entire art style, potentially, allegedly, is stolen. And that's not good. That is not good. It's an awful thing. And supposedly sentiment at Bungie has just completely gone down the shitter. PlayStation had like this giant marketing campaign planned for Marathon, and now they're allegedly scrapping the whole thing because of how bad this has turned out. So they're not exactly in the best situation right now. It's not looking good. Let me see, did I write it down? No, I guess I didn't. I thought I did. But yeah, so Marathon's kind of down the shitter, and PlayStation allegedly had this big marketing campaign that they've all but canceled. They were going to do like a beta here in a few weeks, and that's been completely scrapped. I want to say the game has like a September release date. Yeah, September 23rd, and that's not going to happen now. That, or allegedly it's going to be delayed or something, as they're going to have to go in and either rework all their stuff, or, they're going to have to, there's going to be a lawsuit. We don't know, and that's what makes everything with Marathon so divisive. I could see PlayStation completely canceling a State of Play just because of this Marathon thing, and then just throwing everything into Jeff Keighley's showcase. Intergalactic, Ghost of Yotei. If those just show up in Jeff Keighley's showcase, it's because the stuff with Marathon turned out so bad that they were like, nope, we're not doing it. I could also just see them anyway throwing Marathon in Jeff Keighley's showcase to try to market it there. And, just kind of hopefully like sweep that under the rug. But we'll see. I mean, yeah, Marathon's been a shit show. It's another paid live service game. And after Control failed last year, it's very clear developers are learning, which is something others have known. I've known this for a long time. But now the developers and the studios themselves are learning. Like, hey, why would somebody pay you money to play your game when somebody else is giving it for free? Why would somebody pay money to play Control when they can just go play Overwatch or Marvel Rivals for free? Why would somebody pay money for whatever the fuck Marathon is offering when they could just go play other games that do the exact same thing for free? And I know, oh, well, it's the Bungie name. Yeah, that's not enough anymore. I know Destiny players have been through hell and back. I would not... Yeah, no, I don't blame them at all for not wanting to pay for anything. So I think that's a lesson these guys are kind of learning. Which, again, I've known the whole time. Other things, like I said, Ghost of Yotei, that is an upcoming PlayStation game. that I think it comes out in October. And I know people like Ghost of Tsushima. I admittedly never played it, but it was allegedly good. I do own it. I should play it at some point. And yeah, Ghost of Yotei looks great. I mean, you got Erika Ishii as the main character, and they're fantastic. So, hell yeah. Hell yeah, I'm down. Other things from a PlayStation showcase, there are, what are the other PlayStation studios? The one is Insomniac. Normally, I would think, with how long ago Wolverine was announced, I would guess, oh, this is the year we finally see it. But after the Insomniac hack, which was awful, by the way, and the way the people who work at Insomniac had, their lives stolen from them, their location was doxxed, their social security, their credit card numbers, and they basically had to rebuild their lives. If we see nothing from Insomniac for years, I would not at all be surprised. But who knows? Who fucking knows? I don't know. The fact that they basically had a somewhat working version of Wolverine would make me think we were somewhat close. But who knows? Who fucking knows with that? Same thing. I mean, Sucker Punch is doing Ghost of Yotei. I don't think Santa Monica's doing anything. I could see if they wanted to do something big, they could tease a new Horizon. We know there's like multiple Horizon things in development, potentially including a multiplayer thing. So maybe they do that multiplayer thing. I don't know. Everyone says the PS5 is the console of no exclusives, and that is seemingly not going to change anytime soon. Like, yeah, they've got a few games, but their output is one a year compared to, someone like Nintendo who's putting out one a month, or Xbox, who's also been, at least for this year, Xbox has basically been putting out something big every month. I mean, South of Midnight, Doom the Dark Ages, third example here, Avowed. Xbox has basically been putting something out every month. They have, them buying up all those studios is now potentially starting to show, whereas PlayStation's got nothing to show for any of their stuff. There's that Little Devil Inside game that was at every showcase for like a year or two, and then we haven't seen it in like a year. So who the fuck knows? Okay, on to the stuff I know. Nintendo Direct. Obviously, it's Nintendo Direct season. Normally, there would be one. Normally, it would be... I think, of the years Nintendo has been doing a June showcase, they have skipped once in the past, 25 years. Basically, as long as E3 has been a thing, Nintendo has done a June showcase. They skipped once, during COVID. But other than that, they've basically done something every year. So you may think, oh, do you expect something, this year? And yes, I do. The rumor is that it's going to be either this week or next week. Presumably, probably next week. And I think this would just be, the Switch 2 is in people's hands. You have people using your Nintendo Today app, allegedly. I think now would be a good time to just, hey, we're doing a Nintendo showcase. Let's talk about some of the things you can look forward to this year. Basically do a bunch of refreshers of hey, here's some things to look forward to this year. Here's some upcoming third-party Switch 2 games. Again, a Call of Duty, maybe the Master Chief Collection from Xbox. Stuff like that would be really cool. And then tease something big for next year. Plus, there are a lot of things we don't have release dates for. We got the release date for Pokemon this week. We'll talk about it in a little bit. But other than that, we don't know. There are a lot of Nintendo things we don't know about. So maybe us finally, getting some solid release dates would be nice. But we'll have to see. So, where do I think they start? You start with Mario Kart. And specifically, Mario Kart DLC. There's no way they pull in Animal Crossing and this game doesn't have DLC. Like, Nintendo should look at the original Mario Kart 8, look at how presumably well the booster course did, and be like, we got to do that again. And just right off the rip, you know, Mario Kart, because Nintendo learned the hard way that you don't talk about DLC until after the game releases, because people have gotten big mad at them in the past, specifically with, like, Breath of the Wild. But once the game's out, you know, it's free game. So if, you know, people play the Switch 2 this week, they get to play the new Mario Kart, and then next week, next Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday or whatever, it's, hey, guess what? You can now check out the Mario Kart DLC. You know, we're going to be releasing a new course pack or whatever. You know, whether it's paid DLC or not. I really hope that if they're charging $80 for the price, they're not going to be charging more for DLC. But I could see them revealing like a whole new DLC island, and just slowly over the course of the next few months, the island like slowly gets filled in. And we basically get a new island every year. Because this is a game Nintendo can milk for basically the entire Switch 2's lifespan, as long as they plan it correctly. Which I'd like to hope they did. I would really like to hope they did. Again, I'm still surprised there's no catalog. I feel like a catalog in Mario Kart 8, and you know, you get a new season every 3 months. The new season in Splatoon started today. So this is 100% something Nintendo has done in their other games. But it would have just made sense. You know, new tracks, new characters, obviously. You know, whether they go the third-party route, whether they just introduce more weird Mario characters. You know, maybe they add back in Petey Piranha. Maybe they add back in Kamek, who is an item now, but, you know, maybe he's also a character. We already know the Piantas are in it. I don't know. There's a lot of potential for a lot of different things, and I could see them doing any and everything. I could see that being a very... Nintendo could make a lot of money making that a very DLC-hungry game. Add back in 200cc... So far, Nintendo has said nothing about 200cc in Mario Kart 8. Or Mario Kart World. Which makes me think that Mario Kart World will not have 200cc. But it's something I 100% think they should add back in. I know people really like 200cc. I think they should add it back in. I think they should add it in a jukebox. There's so many things they can do. And it's just a question of what will they do. But I'd love to see new characters. I'd love to see new karts. Do a series like, hey, this is our first series, which is like more Mario characters. You know, we're adding in the fucking Will-o'-the-Wisps from Sunshine. We're adding in the Fluffy Puffs. We're adding in the Conk-Doors. Or wait, Conk-Doors already in the game. We're adding in the Thwomps, and we're adding Thwomps. We're adding Wumps. We're adding Spindles. We're adding Grindles. We're adding Grolls. We're adding Toxbox. We're adding... Did I already say Womps? Wimps? And Thwimps? Right? Like, there's so many different things they could add in. And they just, like, do a series. And then do a series of third-party characters. Bring back the big four from Mario, right? Zelda, Animal Crossing, Splatoon. And then throw the Pikmin in there, because why not? I mean, Miyamoto literally just gave an interview where he said Pikmin can be any and everywhere. And I really, if you're going to say that, man, I hope there's already a Pikmin Easter egg somewhere in that game. But no, I think giving us some Mario Kart DLC, already being like, hey, yes, it's coming. You do not have to pay for it. It's in the base game. Is greedy Nintendo going to do that? Probably not, but they'd be foolish to not try to capitalize off of it. Especially with how well the Mario Kart 8 did. I just couldn't see it. I just could not see them trying to make this game last another 8 years. But then again, they had Animal Crossing, and to be fair, they did not expect Animal Crossing to blow up as big as it did. But once it did, they just like stuck to their original guns and didn't try to pivot at all, which I think was kind of a mistake. Next up, Donkey Kong comes out in July. Give us Diddy Kong. We've already seen Diddy Kong, because people were worried Diddy Kong wasn't going to be in this new game. It has now been confirmed that yes, Diddy Kong will be there. He has a new design, which is basically his old design, just slightly changed. But give us like a Diddy Kong trailer. That shows, hey, guess what? Diddy Kong's back. We already know Cranky Kong's back in the game. But Diddy Kong's back, Dixie Kong's back, Funky Kong's there. Why not? You know, have some fun with it. So I could see that. And that's again a July release date. Because part of what I want to fill out is I want to kind of predict the next few months of Nintendo. Next up, Drag X Drive. That currently doesn't have a release date, but, you know, I'd like to know a little more about that game. Like, we know there's some customization, but right now, I've talked about this before, Drag X Drive feels Drag-in Drive, excuse me. It feels kind of generic. Like, I like the idea. Wheelchair basketball is a good idea. And, you know, taking influence from Rocket League, I get it. I totally get it. But right now, the game seems kind of generic, kind of bare bones. If it's like a $20 eShop game, I'll 100% be there day one. But it's not going to be. It's going to be a $70. It's going to be a $70 game because fucking Mr. Nintendo. So, I don't know. We'll just have to see. But getting some more about that. If I had to guess a release date, September. Because right now, we don't really have anything major in August or September. Outside of, like, expansion pack stuff, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. So I could see it getting a September release date. That's just my prediction. Next up, I had Pokemon. Pokemon now has an October 16th release date. We'll talk more about it in a little bit. They did also announce a Pokemon Showcase coming in July. I think part of the reason they do that is because that means we don't expect Pokemon at this new conference. Or maybe it just shows up in like a sizzle reel. So I'm going to predict no Pokemon. I'm just going to make that prediction. No Pokemon. They're doing their own showcase. They're doing their own thing. Outside of like a sizzle reel, I don't expect it. Metroid Prime 4, I think that's going to be the big holiday game. I mean, listen, I'd love a new 3D Mario. I just don't think it's happening. They're pushing Donkey Kong in July. Sure, could we get a Mario game announced and released by November of this year? Yeah, Nintendo's done crazier things before. But I don't think we will. I don't think we're getting a new 3D Mario. Maybe a 2D Mario? I could see them getting like another studio to remake one of the 2D Mario games. But I think they're going to push Metroid Prime as their big fall game. It's going to be on both Switch and Switch 2 with the upgrade pass. And yeah, that's my big prediction for their November game. I don't have a release date in November. Probably mid to late November, but that's my guess. I don't know. Everything we've seen about it looks fine. It's not like a big evolution. It's just more Metroid Prime, which, hey, if you like that, you'll probably like this. I have no... that last red coin, man. That... I could not find that for the life of me. Alright, next up, we got Hyrule Warriors, Age of Calamity, or Age of Imprisonment. My guess, December. Usually, Nintendo releases a game the first week of December. Smash Ultimate. Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Third example here. I think Age of Imprisonment would make a good December game. Right there at the end of the month, right before the Game Awards. You know, it's not the biggest game in the world, but it's big enough, you know. It's something you could get kids for the holiday season. So I could see it getting that December. It's usually like the 8th. December 7th or 8th release slot. I think that would make a lot of sense. Maybe it's the 4th. I don't know. I'm not going to pull up a calendar. Or I could see it being delayed. If it's delayed until... I think something's getting pushed until next year. There are two possibilities. I think Age of Imprisonment could be delayed. But the other one I could realistically see being delayed is Kirby Air Riders. We know this is Sakurai's new game. He's presumably been working on it for a few years. They say it's coming out this year. But if it gets pushed until next year, that would not at all surprise me. Especially to have two big kart games in the same year. I know this is coming from Nintendo, the company that released 3 RPGs within the span of a year. correction, 3 Mario RPGs in 1 year. In a 12-month time period. I don't think they actually care about having 2 competing racing games, especially because Mario Kart's gonna walk circles around Kirby, but I'd still love to see it. So I could see that being delayed. If not, again, Smash Bros. Took that December release date. Maybe Mario Kart does as well, or maybe something else. I don't know, maybe Metroid's the September game. I kind of doubt it, but maybe. Next up. Oh, also, wait, real quick with Kirby. There was a rumor of a Kirby Planet Robobot thing. And I still kind of think that rumor is real. Or at least in some form or fashion. So if a Kirby Planet Robobot thing is real in some way, shape, or form, we could get that. Because, well, we have all these Switch 2 games. We only know, right, Nintendo clearly wants to keep supporting the Switch at least for a little bit. And so putting out a quick Kirby game that comes out on both Switch and Switch 2, I think would make a lot of sense. So maybe that's a possibility, or maybe it just doesn't exist at all. Give me a second. Alright, so the Switch 2 has upgrade passes. The ones we already know about is when the console launches later this week. There's a Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom one. Launch day, we already know about those upgrade passes. Then on July 24th, there is the Super Mario Party Jamboree upgrade pass, which adds the TV stuff and all of the camera stuff. Then on August 28th, there's a Kirby pass. So at the very end of August, there's something. And that's kind of it. That's all we know about. I think we're going to have more upgrade passes. I don't think it's going to be that many more, because we know like there's like a dozen games that are getting free updates. But if I had to predict the others, I think we're either going to get an Animal Crossing or a Splatoon one. I think the next Animal Crossing and or probably both technically, but one is probably closer than the other. We're going to be getting a new Animal Crossing or a new Splatoon within the next, let's say, 16 months? Let's say 18. Within the next 18 months, I firmly believe we are getting either Splatoon 4 or Animal Crossing 6? I think it's Animal Crossing 6. We're getting one of those new games. And I think whichever one we do get, the other one is going to have an upgrade pass. So if we're getting a new Animal Crossing, then we're going to get a Splatoon 3 upgrade pass that adds mouse controls. If we're getting a new Splatoon, then we're going to get an Animal Crossing update that adds something. Again, Nintendo kind of fucked up never capitalizing on Animal Crossing success. So maybe this is their time to finally sit down, capitalize on that success with an upgrade pass that adds in like new DLC or something. I don't know exactly how they're going to do it, but I think one of those two games is getting an upgrade pass. If you want me to bet money on it, Splatoon. Splatoon 3 will get an upgrade pass that adds mouse controls. And then Animal Crossing will have a new game releasing next year. Of course, I could see, I do still like the idea of Splatoon 4, which I guess, speaking of which, yeah, I guess that's a prediction as well. Whichever one doesn't get an upgrade pass is getting a new game. I think it's far more likely we're getting a new Animal Crossing game because Nintendo wants to capitalize on Animal Crossing's popularity. Especially, I know COVID was lightning in a bottle. I saw someone on TikTok describe it as the Switch 2. It's going to sell well, but it's only going to sell as well as the Switch would have if COVID had never happened. Because of COVID, the Switch had a massive sales spike. I feel like the Switch 2, yeah, I think that was a good idea. That the Switch 2 will do as well as the Switch had done if COVID had never happened. Which I think is a fair point. But yeah, my prediction is I think we're going to get a new Animal Crossing. So I think a Splatoon 3 upgrade pass is likely. But I wouldn't mind it the other way around. I would not. I like the idea of Splatoon 4. I think it's time they finally do a Battle Royale, or as I've been calling it, 50-player Turf War, or 100-player Turf, whatever they want to do, 60 players. I don't know. I could see Splatoon doing some sort of Battle Royale something. I think that makes sense. I think that's a very logical thing. It's just a question of will they do it. I mean, they've already done a Horde mode. I could see them doing something. And then the other, I know a lot of people are saying Mario Maker, that, you know, they go in, we get an upgrade pass for Mario Maker that adds in mouse controls. Yes, that would be very nice. I think that's a really good idea. I do still think that we might get a Mario Maker 3. I do really like the idea of 3D Mario Maker. I also like the idea of Zelda Maker. I don't think we're going to get any of those, but I could see that being a possibility. It's just kind of weird that it didn't get... like, I could totally have seen them giving Mario Maker 2 a free update that just adds mouse controls. I feel like that would have been an easy thing to do. So the fact that they didn't maybe means that something else is coming? Or, again, Nintendo allegedly, internally, considers Mario Maker 2 a failure. So that's why they're not going to do anything. Potentially. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Other things, we do still know about Rhythm Heaven and Tomodachi Life. If they do a direct, you know, we know both those games aren't coming out until next year. But I could see them getting a quick mention. Maybe they get nothing. Again, they're still a... Why they announced those games a year out, I have no idea. The fact that both those games are a year out is, I think, kind of crazy. But we'll just kind of have to wait and see. I'd love to see more Tomodachi Life. Man, do I love Tomodachi Life. Just, it has such a special place in my heart. And I'd love to go back and do it again, but whatever. And then, yeah, like I said, and then for final thing, I think they should end off a showcase with a big tease for 2026. Just like, hey, you know, because so far, I mean, yes, we know Tomodachi Life, we know Rhythm Heaven, and we know Dusk Bloods. Those are like the big 3 games we know are coming out in 2026. But from Nintendo, we don't really, right? Like, for like a big Switch 2 game, you want to convince people to buy a Switch 2, you need a big Switch 2 game. And I feel like it would make sense for them to be like, oh, here's the next big Switch 2 game. It could be Splatoon 4, it could be Animal Crossing 6, it could also be a new 3D Mario. And just kind of tease like, hey, yeah, don't worry, I know we got Donkey Kong this year. Next year will be the next 3D Mario. So, you know, don't you fret about that. I also see that we're going to get some 2026 tease. Some way, shape, or form. I don't know. Again, the big thing I would think for a Nintendo Switch and Switch 2 Direct would just be to kind of like go over everything, you know, make these little updates, give some solid release dates. That's kind of all I want. Again, Pokemon did get some updates this week. We'll talk about it. And the fact that we got updates for Pokemon kind of makes a Direct less likely, but literally anything is possible. Alright, so our final thing is we got some miscellaneous things. So I guess let's talk miscellaneous stuff. If you noticed, I did not mention Hollow Knight Silksong at any point. That's because I just don't know. I don't know about Hollow Knight Silksong. It could be at Summer Games Fest. It could be... I want to say, well, Hollow Knight Silksong was originally revealed at a Nintendo showcase. It was then at an Xbox showcase like a year or two later. So, I could see it being back at an Xbox showcase. You know, Xbox paid money for it. But I could also see it being at the Nintendo showcase. I mean, it just was at the previous one. Or Jeff Keighley put his fingers into it, and he got it at his showcase. I think all 3 are possibilities. If we go through this E3 with nothing, or this Summer Games Fest, then the game's dead. I know the game's still allegedly coming out this year, and I know, well, oh, the developers just want to work on their own timeline. If they're working on their own... Listen, if they're working on their own timeline, then they don't have a timeline. They don't know. Which I know sounds crazy, but that's the truth. They don't know. You cannot convince me the game hasn't been in development hell. Like, I will not be convinced of that. That is 100% my headcanon, my theory. But yeah, if we get nothing, then, like, abandon all ye who enter. You're never getting it. You just never are. And I know, oh, well, it's going to be at a museum in September, so it'll presumably come out before September. That means nothing. That means nothing. I would not get your hopes up for anything. I'm going in expecting to be disappointment. I'm usually a somewhat, I used to say I'm like a big pessimist, right? That's what I used to be. I realize now in hindsight, I'm actually a decent optimist. Like, I'm more optimistic than you'd think. But on this thing, no, expect nothing. And maybe be surprised when you get less than zero, when you get more than 0. But I expect less than that. The other thing, I mentioned this earlier, Devolver. It looks like Devolver's doing something, but Devolver has other games coming out. They've got Baby Steps, that game made by Bennett Foddy, which, to be fair, I don't really care about at all. But yeah. And then finally, Skate Story. They also have Skate Story. Alright. That's all my predictions. I paused it because I need to go pee. So I will be right back. Alright, I'm back. I had to turn on a fan. Oh my gosh, it is so hot. You know, it wasn't this bad last week. I mean, I know I've complained about it being right now. Especially because, you know, having the door closed to stream and everything. So that way I don't annoy my roommates. It is so fucking hot. Oh my god, just walking back in here, I am sweating. But, so hopefully that's not too bad. Hopefully not. So yeah, that's my Summer Games Fest predictions. I'll be honest, I didn't really have that many this year. I mean, usually it was just the Nintendo ones, which I always have a lot to say about. But I really don't have anything on anything else. I don't know, this has been a pretty decent year for games already. And I mean, we got a new Mario Kart coming out in like 4 days. Like, fuck, it's already been a good year. But there's still a lot more that could happen. There may be some surprises. I don't know, Xbox recently has felt like they're kind of getting their shit in gear. But we'll see how long that lasts. But no, of course, we'll be here to stream all of it. I know last year we kind of skipped Summer Games Fest and then did it later. It's something I did not regret, and I still kind of don't. And I definitely thought about it this year, but no, I think we'll be back on Friday with Summer Games Fest. That is at least the plan at the moment. And then, of course, definitely we'll do the Xbox thing. So, yeah. So, I guess let's get to the gaming news part of this gaming news thing. So, we got 3 stories. 2 of them are, of course, about Nintendo. The Switch 2 comes out in 4 days. Our first one's about Pokemon. We got some updates on Legends ZA. I do want to talk about them, including a release date. And then Nintendo's been updating all their stuff. They updated the Switch 2 app. So we've gotten some new features from that. We've been getting stuff on Nintendo Today. So I want to talk about all that. And then our one non-Nintendo story is EA. EA canceled their Black Panther game. And I do want to talk about it. Because I might as well. So yeah. Alright, so for our Pokemon Legends ZA update. So Pokemon Legends ZA didn't have a release date, but earlier this week they came... Originally it started off with a statement, at least how I saw it, was that Pokemon was doing a Pokemon Presents. They're doing one in July 22nd, which I think this is the... Someone, I want to say said, this is the earliest we have ever known about a Pokemon Presents. Usually they announce them like the week before. So what the fuck is happening in July that they're going to have to announce it like a month and a half off? My first thought is like, hey, they're announcing it now so that way when the Direct, if a Nintendo Direct happens, you know not to expect Pokemon because it's going to be at its own showcase. But maybe it'll be something else. I don't know, it's just weird. Maybe they announced stuff like this, or because they didn't have to announce this at all. They could have just said, hey, guess what? We have the release date for Pokemon, and it's on both Switch and Switch 2. Here's the box arts. That's what they could have done, but no, instead they announced the showcase as well. So I guess, let's talk about the release date. The release date for this new Pokemon is October 16th. Honestly, it's kind of what I expected. I think I had previously said it was going to be October and November. Usually Pokemon is a holiday game. It's only been in the past like few years that it's kind of broken that tradition. Usually it is September, October, and November. But yeah, so we're getting that. We're getting October 16th, right in the middle of the month. I think that release date makes perfect sense. We are getting both a Switch 2 and a Switch version. We got the box art. The box art on the original Switch version looks great. We got this full art that shows off, you know, Mega Evolution, shows off the trainer characters, looks really nice. And then the Switch 2 version, if you have not seen the Switch 2 box art, it's just a total step down. My big problem with it is the top has like this big red bar with a little Switch 2 logo. If they had that big red bar and a big Switch 2 logo, I think it would look a lot better. But the fact that it's this big red bar and a little tiny logo, like, I get it. Nintendo doesn't want consumers to be confused Switch and Switch 2. Like, there was a thing going around this week of now that, because stores are receiving Switch 2 units. And someone took a picture of the original Switch box next to the Switch 2 box and was like, oh, consumers are totally going to get confused by this. And, you know, I'd like to give consumers the benefit of the doubt and say that, no, the Giant 2 is clearly not going to confuse them. But that'd be lying. 100% consumers are going to get confused. But you gotta remember, 1 in 4 Americans is an idiot. So of course that's going to confuse people. That doesn't surprise me at all. So, no, none of that surprises me. I definitely think people are going to be confused. And Nintendo's trying to make this as clear as possible, but that doesn't actually mean it's going to be as clear as possible. I'd like to hope people, you know, don't fuck it up, but I know they will. But yeah, the Switch 2 box art is ugly. It is. It took you know, I get they wanted it to be distinct. Ugh. They wanted it to be different. I totally get that, and I feel like some of the changes they've made are a good idea. But I feel like the original Switch box art just works really well, and the fact that, like, if they had just made it red and it basically looked the same, I'd have no issue. But also, the other thing that kills the Pokemon box art, because again, that's what we were originally talking about, is that there's this giant wall of text on the bottom of the box art that says, like, oh, this comes with an upgrade pass. You need the internet to download the upgrade pass, or what. It says something along those lines. You know, it's just trying to be transparent. There's a QR code for more information. Like, I get what they're trying to do, but it just looks so ugly. It looks so ugly in comparison. Like the Switch, yeah, I know, like, the game keycard box art have the same issue. But it looks ugly there, it looks ugly here. I like a nice, clean box art. And this just ain't it. This just ain't it, which sucks. But that's what they're doing. Yeah. So yeah, of course, if you buy the Switch 1 version, you can of course purchase the upgrade pass afterwards. But I'll tell you right now, I'm just gonna buy the Switch 2 version. Same thing with Metroid. I'm just gonna buy the Switch 2 version. I don't see I do kind of hope that the upgrade pass is just on the cartridge. I don't know, and it's kind of it's kind of hard to tell. Again, I haven't read all the statements, and transparency's not exactly Nintendo's strong suit. But we'll just kind of have to see. But no, it's good to get Pokemon. You know, it's good to finally have that release date. That, again, this is why I think Metroid's in November. Because if we're getting Pokemon in October, you need Metroid in November. Because I don't think Metroid's going to be September. It could be. I don't know. There's something is either missing or something's getting delayed. It's going to be one of those two things. I just don't know which is which. I hear a shine. I'm just trying to find out where it is. I think we have to get into that tower. So that's that. So Pokemon Direct, it's in July. My two things is, well, obviously we're going to find out more about ZA. And then the other thing is we're going to find out about Champions. You know, Pokemon's doing their big battling app, which potentially has the potential to streamline competitive Pokemon, but we'll see if they actually do that. Alright, give me a second. Alright, I had to take a call there, but I tried to keep going. And I put my headphones on backwards. Alright, where were we? Yeah, Pokemon Champions, you know, this is their new mobile competitive app that, you know, potentially streamlines everything, but it might have some potential problems. I don't know. I'm still kind of skeptical on the whole thing. I know we literally started this stream with Pokemon cards, but, you know, for as greedy as we think Nintendo is, the Pokemon Company is way worse. They're only held back by Nintendo. Like, honestly, I think the Pokemon Company's greed could rival EA, Activision, Ubisoft, King. The Pokemon Company's greed is legendary, but Nintendo kind of holds them back a little bit. But so I'm always worried about stuff like that. Alright, next story, we got updates on the Nintendo Switch app. So the Nintendo Switch app is, right, the app where you can use it to, like, oh, I want to voice chat with people. Because Nintendo had the brilliant idea to let you voice chat on the Nintendo Switch, but you have to use a separate app. And clearly, that was a dumb idea that they immediately undid with the Switch 2 right on their next console. And I get it, right? Totally, it was a dumb idea to begin with. But, so, they updated the Switch 2 app, and they just added, you know, they added Switch 2, or they updated the Switch app, they added Switch 2 compatibility, they added, like, the Zelda Notes, the new app that you can play with the Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom upgrade. They added that. But they added some other things as well. You can now import videos and screenshots from the Switch 2. So right now, if you want to, like, let's say you take a picture on your Switch, like you use the screenshot button, you have a few options of how to get it, like, onto your computer or onto your phone. You can, like, take out your SD card, which, I don't mess with that. You can send it over, like, Wi-Fi, and it's a whole process. It works fine, actually, but it's kind of weird. Or you can, you used to be able to post it on Facebook and Twitter. I think they took that functionality away. But now, they had the idea, which I actually think is a good one. You can now open up the Switch 2 app, and your most recent 100 videos and screenshots will be downloaded onto the Switch 2 app for the next 30 days after you take them. So let's say you're playing Mario Kart, you take a picture with you and your friends. That'll be uploaded onto the Switch 2 app for 30 days. So that way you can just easily go on your phone and download the picture. And I think that's a great idea. Genuinely, I think that's a really good idea that, you know, instead of having to, like, connect to the Wi-Fi or whatever and go through their really weird process to get screenshots because they don't have, like, Bluetooth, just making it easily done through the app. Because I think Xbox also kind of already works like that. Like, if I go on my Xbox and take a screenshot, I'm pretty sure I can just access it through, like, my app or through, like, the PC app or something like that. So I think that'll work fine. I think that's a good upgrade that actually gives some functionality to the Switch 2. It'll make my life a lot easier when coming to, like, making thumbnails and whatnot. I don't think PlayStation works like that. Admittedly, I don't really take many screenshots on PlayStation, but the only screenshots I take are my wins and Fall Guys. Let's see. There's notifications for, like, if your friends are online, if they're, like, inviting you to a game chat. So, like, let's say you get home after, like, work or after school or whatever, and your friends are playing Mario Kart. They can, like, invite you to the game chat, and you'll get a notification on your phone being like, hey, your friends have invited you. Again, I think PlayStation and Xbox already kind of work like that. You know, it's just one more way to get information. I don't think it's bad. Nintendo has brought back friend codes. I know people hate friend codes. Can I be honest? I think the friend code hate is kind of forced. Like, I get it why people think they're dumb. I do. But at the same time, Nintendo gives you, like, 4 different ways to find friends on the Switch. friend codes. I think you can search by usernames. I think you can search locally. And now the Switch, too, is going to have a QR code where you can just show a QR code to your friends. They can just scan it on their phone, and it automatically adds you as friends. That's, I think, nice and convenient. And again, I think there's another system that works just like that. Maybe I'm thinking of like Google Contacts or something like that. But I think that makes sense. I think that's a logical thing. I think the friend code for, back when it was like the only way you could do things, it was kind of dumb. But nowadays, it's fucking 2025. I know some people will say, oh, it's 2025, that's why Nintendo shouldn't have friend codes. But I say it's 2025. Who cares about friend codes? If it was the only option, I'd kind of get it, but it's far from the only option. It's far from the only way to do things. And then finally, you can view friend status in history. That's kind of something I think you could already have viewed status on Nintendo Switch, but now you can see like their game history. I really wish Nintendo had a better game history log, because the Wii U and the Switch, or the 3DS, the Wii U and the 3DS had a fantastic activity log, where you could see every game you've played, how long you've played it, statistics, like what's your most played game and all that. And it's always, I always just kind of found it neat. Now the Switch only updates in like 5-hour increments. It's all super fucking basic. It kind of sucks. I mean, if you use the Nintendo Parent app, it works better. But just using the normal Switch app, just doing it the way the Switch normally works, it kind of sucks. Because you know Nintendo has all that data. Like, they're already saving it. And also, all your data gets deleted if you, like, try to export your console. Like, if you try to, like, change switches. Because I lost all my data when I moved over from the normal Switch to the OLED. And that kind of sucked. But no, like, they're already collecting the data. Just let us see it all. The activity log used to be so good. And now it just kind of sucks. Other things, we've been getting stuff on the Nintendo Today app. And we got, you can now set a password. So, like, let's say you're on your, I don't know if it's account specific, but it's definitely system specific. So, like, I could go on my Nintendo Switch and set a password, and that way only I can access my Switch. I know this is definitely a thing PlayStation does, because I think my PlayStation is set up with a password. I presume Xbox does it as well. But no, this is, okay, that's a neat feature. I guess we found out that you know how the Switch has, you know, the Joy-Con has a mouse in it. I guess Nintendo also confirmed that you can use a USB mouse. So if you want to, like, if you have your own, like, custom USB mouse, you can use that on Switch 2. I think we already knew you could use a USB keyboard, but to be fair, I think Xbox works the same way. I'm pretty sure you can also use a USB mouse and keyboard on Xbox. So yeah, that's no surprise at all. Let's see, was there anything else on Nintendo Today? We've been getting a bunch of Nintendo Today stuff. I know, did we talk about Basic White and Basic Black? So Nintendo has had, on the Switch, they have a light and a dark theme. Recently, there was a new Switch update that came out on like Monday of last week that basically changed light and dark themes to Basic Light and Basic White and Basic Dark Black. And like, why the fuck would Nintendo do that unless they have something else planned? I know part of the reason is because those themes are now supported on Nintendo Switch Online and maybe eShop potentially. I don't think so, but they might be. I could see them being supported on the eShop, but we know that I definitely know they're supported on Nintendo Switch Online. So why would they do that unless they have something else planned? I still think themes might be coming. I know I'm just a conspiracy theorist, but they recently updated Nintendo Alarmo to add Animal Crossing themes. So I think something might be coming. It's no guaranteed, obviously, but I think themes might be coming. I'd like to hope themes are coming. Again, there's no guarantees on anything, but I'd like to hope something is coming. anything else? I'm just kind of looking through Nintendo Switch 2 stuff. I don't see anything else. So yeah, that's Nintendo Switch 2 updates. The console will be in our hands by Thursday. Assuming you're... Oh my... I'm going to tell this story. So, I had my... I have mine pre-ordered through Best Buy. And I got... Best Buy... Was it... No, was this at Target? At either Best Buy or Target, they recently charged my card. My credit card. However, when they charged my card, my bank marked it as a fraudulent charge. They're like, did you really buy this? Was this a real charge? So I was like, fuck. Did they cancel? Because I have 2 Switches pre-ordered. One which I'm keeping, one which I'm giving to a friend. Or I'm selling to a friend. I'm still getting that bag. But you get my thing. And I was like, fuck, did they cancel one of my 2 Switches? So, and if you've been in the space, anyone who tries to contact customer service about the Switch 2, if you contact customer service, they've been canceling orders. So when they marked that charge as fraudulent, I was like, fuck, am I fucked? Did this just ruin my entire order? Am I getting this one canceled? No, I was able to tell my bank, hey, this is real. I went through the Target thing. They recharged. I think I'm good. But I was fucking worried I think this was like 2 days ago. I was really fucking worried when Target charged. I was like, fuck, is that it? Did they just fuck me over? Or did my bank fuck me over? Because normally, like, if they think something is fraudulent, they'll put like a hold. But the message I got was that, no, we've declined this order. Like, we've told them that, no, this is fraudulent, decline it. And I'm like, what the fuck? You didn't even ask me. And they put a hold on my card back in like April. You're only now getting around to it once they actually tried to follow through on that hold. Like, what the fuck, bank? So I was worried, but I think everything is fine. I don't know. We'll talk on Friday to see if I didn't get it. But so far, I think I'm fine. Yeah, it had to have been Target. Because, I don't know, I'm still waiting on Best Buy. I think that's the thing. Because Best Buy's, they're doing like a midnight launch. I do have a store pickup. So, yeah. Alright. I think that's all my thing. That's all my Nintendo news and my Switch 2 stuff. My one last news story is EA. So, EA put out a statement this week that, hey, they were working on a Black Panther game. We've known about this for like 2 or 3 years. We hadn't seen any footage or anything, but we know the game was being worked on by Cliffhanger Games, who, admittedly, I don't know anything else Cliffhanger Games have done. I think this was a new studio, but we know they were working on it. And then this week, EA came up with an update that their new Black Panther game had been canceled. That after a few years of development, we might have gotten a report that it was in development hell. I kind of don't remember. It's been a while. But EA's Black Panther game has been canceled, and the studio that was working on it, Cliffhanger Games, has been shut down. Of course, this sucks. It feels like every other week we're hearing a story about, oh, games canceled, studios shut down, employees fired. Every week there's a new story, and it sucks. It really does. The game industry is just not in a healthy place, and this is just another sign of it. We have since gotten a few more bits of information. I know at some point we found out that I guess this new Black Panther game was they were working on a Nemesis style system for the game, which that sounds neat. This also does not give me any hope for that Marvel 1943 Rise of Hydra, the one where it's Black Panther and Captain America in World War II. I have zero hope for that game. I know some people are excited for it. I literally have seen nothing that's like, yeah, this is coming out. This is definitely a real game. Even though it's got like a good pedigree. I think it's someone who worked on Uncharted. No, I have literally zero hope for that game. Zero whatsoever. But yeah, so I'm not the Black Panther, it sucks. It sucks to hear this. I guess they did at some point, because EA is also working on an Iron Man game, and I guess they did double down and say that, well, yes, the Black Panther game's canceled. We are still working on that Iron Man game. We're still putting a bunch of time into it. You know, it's now a new priority. Which, again, I don't trust EA. And Marvel Games just doesn't have a good track record. At least not recently. I mean, there's the Lego games. There's Ultimate Alliance 3, which I think people liked. But outside of that, I mean, nobody liked that Marvel's Avengers game. Even though I heard it's one of, I do own it. And I do, because, like, I'm a big Kamala Khan fan. So at some point, I do want to kind of boot it up just to kind of give it a try. But I don't know if it's actually any good. Like, I know they updated it a lot. They put a lot of things into it. And supposedly you can play it all offline. I don't know. Multiverses got shut down this week. And that's another one. That's a tragedy. Talk about, you know I said earlier that why would somebody spend money on your game when somebody else is giving it for free? Multiverses is proof that that's not always how it works. That, yeah, Multiverse's only real competition were other paid games, and yet they still couldn't compete. Even though they had all these big IPs and whatnot. I wanted Multiverses to be good. And it just wasn't. And that sucks. I was trying to look, because I swear I saw some stuff on Black Panther. I was trying to find it, and I just don't see it anywhere. I'm checking stealth. Because they're usually the ones that post all these things. Okay, whatever, I don't find it. So yeah, it's just another sad story of the games industry. Another game canceled, another studio closed, another group of people who lost their jobs. It sucks. It sucks, and it feels like it happens like clockwork at this point. Alright, so I guess that takes us to WIBE. So I did go on a trip this week. I went up to good old Albuquerque, New Mexico to go see a baseball game. So I do want to talk about that. I tried some exclusive food while I was there. That, you know, it comes from all, like, you know, the fucking fast food restaurants. But I do want to talk about it because it was just kind of a coincidence and a stars-aligned thing. That I 100%, I in no way planned this. But I was like, oh yeah, fuck yeah, I'll take advantage of that. Because how often do you get to talk about that? And I did that. That was my Memorial Day. I went out for Memorial Day. And then, of course, I've got two other food things. We got to talk about Sonic Burger. We got to talk about Jack in the Box. I got a few video games. I've been playing just a little bit of video games. Well, technically, I've put like 30 hours into Cookie Clicker. But we'll talk about it. And then, like I said, we got Rick and Morty season premiere. And then Lilo and Stitch. At most, we'll go for like another hour. Maybe. At most. I don't know. My goal, I don't know how many stars we currently have. My goal is to get 50. If I remember correctly, you only need 50 stars to beat Super Mario Sunshine. So my goal is to get the final 50 stars, beat the game, and then that's it. And then next week we can start Mario Kart. All's well that ends well. But we'll see. So, how was my vacation? So, have you heard of Banana Ball? This is a thing that's been blowing up these past few years. Basically, some guy whose name I forget, he had the idea to reinvent baseball. that, hey, you know, baseball is struggling to attract a younger audience. They're struggling to attract a new audience. So what if I reinvent baseball and make it more fun, make it more appealing to the new generation? And with that, he created Banana Ball. And Banana Ball has like 11 new rules. Too many in my opinion. Like, I'll be honest, some of those rules I completely forgot about. Some of them I think are fantastic. I think some of these rules are fantastic. There's, the game, 2 hours max. It can only be 2 hours. And there are no bonus innings. At the end of the 9th inning, that's it. If the teams are tied, they go into showdown. But other than that, you know, 9 innings, 2 hours, 40. So we need 9 more stars? Okay, we can do that. But that's a great idea, in my opinion. I know there is some, where, like, when I first heard of Banana Ball, presumably from, I think, Jeff Ramsey, you know, over at, formerly Rooster Teeth, now, what's his fucking podcast called? It's not, it used to be Fuckface. It's now Regulation? I think it's Regulation Pod. When I first heard about Banana Ball from Jeff Ramsey, and how he took his daughter out to see a game in Savannah, Georgia, and how much he loved it. And I was like, oh, that sounds great. I was like, that sounds really fun. Of course, down here in El Paso, they're not showing a game. There are no games. So if I wanted to go see one, I'd have to go to, like, Houston, or Austin, or San Antonio. But those are, like, that's like a 7-8 hour drive. Texas is a very big state. But I realized, like, oh, you know what else I could do? They have a game in Albuquerque. That's only a 4-hour drive. That seemed a lot more reasonable. So last year, for the 24 season, 2023-2024 season, I put in for a game, and I didn't get tickets. They do, like, a ticket lottery. So I put in for the game, I didn't get tickets, it sucked. This year, I put in again. You know, I put into San Antonio, I put into Austin, but I also put in for Albuquerque. And guess what? I got tickets. So I got tickets to the game. It was the Party Animals, which is like, if I compare the Savannah Bananas to like the Harlem Globetrotters, the Party Animals are like the Generals. Admittedly, it's not. It's like, because it's an actual game. This isn't like, oh, the Savannah Bananas always win, and the Party Animals always lose, like, you know, the Harlem Globetrotters and the Generals. No, this is like, it's like a real baseball game, where, like, you know, they actually do play, the points do matter, even though, again, the point system's a little different. But so it was, the Party Animals were headlining the game, and this was the first ever game for their brand new team, the Texas Tailgaters. Because they added 2 new teams to the league this year, the Texas Tailgaters and the Firefighters? Something like that. And I was like, oh yeah, okay, that's cool. Admittedly, did I know that at the time I bought the tickets? No, I just bought the tickets. So I was like, okay, that'll be, you know, a fun weekend trip. It was last week. And I was like, okay, so I'll just, you know, I'll drive up there. It's like a 4-hour drive. Have fun there. I'll spend the weekend in Albuquerque, which I've been to before. I've been to the city plenty of times, you know, specifically for the Balloon Fiesta. And I was like, yeah, that'll be fun. So that's what I did. So I went and saw the Party Animals fight the Texas Tailgaters. Now, I should say, I am a Party Animals fan. You may say, oh, you're a Texas guy. You went for the Tailgaters, right? No. I went for the Party Animals specifically because I went to high school with someone on the Party Animals. We had Spanish. We were in Spanish class together. At least I assume we were in Spanish class together. I don't know. In my Spanish class, there were like 4 members of the baseball team. So I'm assuming he was in that class as well. But yeah, I went to high school with someone on the Party Animals, that was just like a neat coincidence. Like, I legitimately didn't know that until, you know, they started doing tickets last year. And I was like, oh, that's cool. So yeah, I rooted for the Party Animals, and I was like, oh, this is going to be a fun game. Because that's the thing, you know, it's making baseball fun. So I couldn't tell you all 11 new rules. I know it's 2-minute timer. If it goes over 2 hours, you know, 2 hours, that's your final inning. If scores tied up, they go to a showdown. They have a golden batter where at any point they could substitute in whatever batter they wanted. No bunting, I know, was one of the rules. It's a score system. It's a point system. So basically, no matter, let's say, you know, you hit 5 runs. You only get, and you know, the opposing team doesn't hit anything. You don't get 5 points like in normal baseball. You only get 1. Until the 9th inning, in which case, you know, every run counts. So it basically functions on a point system until you get to that last inning, in which case it becomes something different. And then they end with a showdown, which the showdown is like team 1 batter versus usually a pitcher and 1 outfielder. And if the batter makes it around all 4 bases, they win, their team wins. If you know, they get out, then they switch, and eventually, you know, first team to not score wins. And the game did go into showdown, and we'll talk about it. But, you know, there's a few other rules, but it's supposed to be fun. You know, they're trying to make baseball fun. Yeah, you can look them up on TikTok and see a lot of the things they do. They're a very fun team. You know, like I said, there's 4 of them: the Party Animals, the Savannah Bananas, the Texas Tailgaters, and the Firefighters. And it was neat to see. It was neat to see. It's something I'd wanted to do for the past, like, year or so. And it was like, finally, now I get a chance to go see them. And I didn't have to drive all the way down to Austin and deal with fucking Austin. Not that Austin's a terrible city. It's just, it's fucking Austin. And plus, I think that game's in, like, August. But yeah, so I bought tickets for this back in, like, December. And it's just kind of like, I've been waiting for it to happen. The game was Saturday night, so I drove up Saturday morning, saw the Saturday night game, and stayed through Memorial Day. So yeah, it was fun. The things I noticed, so they do a lot of community stuff, like they have a charity program called Bananas Foster, where they help out foster kids, and they brought out a local foster family. They did a bat, they brought out like a kid to do like a bat race where he ran the bases. They do a lot of like that in-between game baseball stuff that, you know, is just supposed to be fun. They had a root beer chugging contest to determine who goes first. What else did they do? You know, they did all the dances. The Party Animals have their own band. They brought out, they have their own bartenders, and they brought out a bar for during, I want to say, the 7th inning. They did a sing-along. They did a dance-along. It's very big on audience interaction. Like, I really do, one of the things I do think that works about it is that they're bringing audience interaction back to the game. Like, I know people always talk about, like, oh, it's the 7th endings, not the 7th ending split? What's it called? 7th ending stretch. There's the word I'm looking for. Where, you know, here in America, it's the national pastime to do the 7th inning split, sing Take Me Out to the Ball Game, and then sing Sweet Caroline. You know, the national song of white people. Because that's a very baseball thing to do. But no, they're kind of, you know, they're bringing that to baseball. And they're just, it's more audience interaction. Like, imagine if that was every inning. If you hate that kind of stuff, then yeah, this is not going to do it for you. But if you're totally down for that kind of stuff, yeah, you're going to have a good time. You know, every time, when they bring out new, one of the things I noticed, the Party Animals had great introductions. Whenever they brought out a new batter, they'd have a whole dance routine. Later in the night, they had, like, glow sticks and whatnot, and they did a whole light thing. It was all really neat, really fun. Meanwhile, the Tailgaters, I think, had better victories. When they scored in, like, an inning, because I think they were the ones that got a home run, they do, like, this big celebration, and it was a lot of fun. It genuinely was a lot of fun to see. Like, one time they scored, I think, a home run, and they went out into the crowd and threw hot dogs around. Because, you know, they're Tailgaters. When they scored a run at some point, they brought out, like, one of those, like, pool inflatable alligators and, like, wrestled it. So that was fun. Meanwhile, right, the Party Animals did this whole thing where they did, like, a whole light dance. They turned off all the lights. There was a local player from Albuquerque, and they did, like, all of a sudden all the lights go out, and they do, like, this big celebration for him returning to town, you know, and it was really nice. What else? One of the Tailgaters was on a unicycle. He came out on a unicycle, which is something early on I saw the unicycle, and then it didn't come up until, like, the 7th inning. I saw it in, like, the 1st or the 2nd. Overall, the game, it was mostly a low-scoring game. I think it would be like, oh, the party animals would get one in, then the Tailgaters would get one in. And then in, like, the 4th or 5th inning, the Tailgaters brought in 5 people. I think that was when they got a home run. They got a bunch in. I know you could, one of the rules was that you could, like, steal. Can you steal home? Or you could steal, I think you could steal home or something like that. And that was neat. But yeah, there was just a lot of fun moments. It's very high energy. It very much relies on, like, the crowd. But the crowd was into it. The stadium, I think they said it was like 15,000 people. So, you know, it was a mostly packed stadium. I had great seats. I admittedly paid a little bit more to get good seats, completely on accident. I did not mean to get seats as good as I did. It was just kind of, their website confused me and I accidentally get better seats than I thought. But I had really good seats. I definitely think if you're going to see a game, try to get behind one of the dugouts. Right along the first or the third baseline. Try to get right behind the dugout. Because I feel like that's like where they do a lot of the fan interactions. And that's probably the best place to sit. I wasn't behind any of those. I was behind home. But yeah, that's definitely where you want to go. But it was fun. It was just, they brought fun back to baseball. Does it completely save baseball to me? Am I going to become because my father's a huge baseball guy. You know, he goes to local games and everything. Am I going to, like, all of a sudden become a baseball guy again? No, but it's a nice experience. It was something cool to do that, you know, you don't really get that many chances to do. So I had fun with it. I'm glad I did it. I don't know if I'll do it again anytime soon, but I had a good time. It's one of those things I would recommend no matter who you are, young or old. It definitely, if you have, like, kids, your kids are going to love this. Like, if you can get tickets, oh my gosh, your kids are going to love this. But I think young or old, you'll have a good time. So that was Banana Ball, the party animals versus the Tailgaters. So how the game ended. It was tied up, I want to say 3-3. Because it was originally, party animals were at 3, and the Tailgaters were at 2, going into the final inning, the 9th inning. In the 9th inning, the Tailgaters scored a point, tying it up 3-3. So that's it, 9th inning. There are no extra innings, so it goes into showdown. First showdown, nobody gets anything, right? Both are taken out, nothing happens. Second showdown, Tailgaters score. And it's like, oh shit. Or, no, wait, maybe I have it backwards. Maybe it was the first overtime, the first showdown, Tailgaters scored, then Banana scored. Or the party animals, excuse me. The party animals and the Tailgaters both scored, so they were tied up. They were tied up 4-4. Then it comes to the second one, the second showdown. Tailgaters don't score. Everybody gets up, you know, most people who were rooting for the party animals, they get up, they're all cheering, nothing happens. And it was like, ah, shit. Like, they clearly wanted this to be, like, the big moment, and it wasn't. So then it goes into the third showdown, which the third showdown is bases loaded. So the bases are loaded, there's a pitcher, there's an outfielder, all it takes is one good hit, and you get somebody in. Potentially 2 or 3 people. Nobody scored. The third showdown went down. Nobody got anything. That then took us to the fourth showdown. Tailgaters didn't score. Party animals got 1 in, winning them the game. So I'm glad the party animals win. Again, I don't think it's like a Harlem... Like, the Globetrotters, it's always rigged. Like, that's literally why they do the joke in How I Met Your Mother, where Ted and Marshall always root for the Generals. I don't think these games are rigged. I think these are real, genuine games, anyone could win. I had no idea going into it was the Tailgaters' first game. I only found that out when the announcer said so. Oh, the announcer was great. Whoever they had doing the announcing was fantastic. Music is very heavy in these games. Like, normally in baseball, you know, they play music between, like, batters and whatnot. Like you would expect in hockey or football, right? They play music in the downtime. No, music is almost constantly going. The Party Animals had a mostly pop-themed mix. The Tailgaters had a mostly country one, but they both had pop mixed in. It was just, music was very heavily influenced. You know, one of my favorite things is, you know, in baseball you have the dugouts. And if you're not on the field, you're in the dugout. So, you know, when you're out in the field, you've got all the players out, and then the other team has their one player in the dugout. Has their one player on the pitch, everyone else is in the dugout. And this, all the teams hang out on the third or the first baseline. And I feel like they probably do that logistically just to make, like, transitions easier. Like, oh, if your player scores, instead of getting everyone to run out of the dugout to do a dance, they're all just kind of standing right there. I'm sure, like, there's a logistic reason for it, but in practice, it gives this greater sense of, like, community. That, like, oh, it's not just the team in the dugout. Everybody's just kind of hanging out on the sidelines, ready to celebrate, ready to dance. The first base umpire is dancing almost the entire time. Like, anytime, like, the player would do something, he would, like, he'd do, like, a flip when they were safe. It was just really neat. It was a really fun game. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I would highly recommend it. If you get the chance, definitely do it. Tickets are very hard to find. I know you can, like, I've gotten emails from them that they do games on Disney Plus, but I definitely think you should go see it in person, just play along with it, and you'll have a good time. Like, I played along as much as I could. The guy sitting next to me, though, he was like a row up and over. He was so into it. Oh my gosh, him and his, like, 3 friends, he was so into it. They did, like, a dance contest thing. He stood up, he was dancing, he was having a great time. He was real into the game, you know. There's this whole thing where, you know, they can obviously challenge ump calls, but they have a fan designation where, like, a fan can challenge the ump calls. And I'm really glad that happened, that someone challenged it, that I felt like we got to see everything. Like, and that was fun. That was very fun. It was a very good game. So yeah, I don't regret taking a 4-hour drive for a really fun game. Don't regret it at all. Besides, a 4-hour drive in America, I know in, like, the UK, that's, like, basically an entire country away. But in the States, that's nothing. So, while I was in town, this complete coincidence. This was not intentional. So, as you know, right, we always talk about weird new foodstuffs on this channel. Like, last week, what did we talk? I don't even remember what we talked about last week. But, you know, I'm always down to try weird new foodstuffs. You know? And so one of the things, companies don't just, like, release new foodstuffs. Like, let's say, you know, what's a good example? Like, let's say McDonald's wanted to release a new chicken sandwich. They're not just going to release a new chicken sandwich to see what the public thinks. Instead, they're going to test it. And they usually have test markets, or sometimes they'll do, like, events in, like, New York and Chicago and LA. Right? They always test these things. And just so happened, while I was in Albuquerque, they were doing 2 test markets. They were doing one for Panda Express, was testing a new chicken, and Little Caesars was testing a new pizza. So they were doing 2 test markets, and I just so happened to be in town, so I was like, fuck it, let's go try some of this new stuff. It's not the only thing I've tried. I, of course, got some local food. I went to Sadie's. Anyone who's ever been to Albuquerque or lives in Albuquerque can tell you how good Sadie's is. if you've never heard of them, you can actually, in most stores, you can find their salsa. At least down here you can. If you've never had it though, it's really good salsa. But the stuff from the restaurant is so much better. Oh my gosh, the salsa from the restaurant, so good. And it's some of the best Mexican food / new Mexican food I have ever had. Sadie's is so good. So of course you got to try that. Go past the Owl Cafe. Go to whatever, all the tourist stuff. I've done it before. But I was like, you don't always get a chance to test out these new food stuff. So the first one I did was Panda Express. They have a hot honey chicken, crispy chicken specifically. Even though I have it written as chalkin in my notes, I misspelled it. So it's hot honey crispy chicken. This isn't like like the orange chicken you get at Panda Express. This is like the breading is different, but it's a hot honey chicken. I'll be honest, it's not too spicy. It's not too sweet either. Hot honey is one of those things. I like the idea of hot honey, but I've never actually I've only ever had good hot honey once or twice, specifically on pizza. So for this, I was like, you know what, fuck it, I'll try it, but I wasn't expecting much. And yeah, I mean, this is far from the worst hot honey I had. I know I tried Mike's hot honey at KFC a few weeks ago, and I did not like that at all. That was not that great. This was better than that. I think this was better than that. The chicken tasted fine. It's Panda Express. They basically sell sugar chicken. It was fine. I wasn't blown away by it, but it was not terrible either. It was okay. Do I think they could bring this nationwide? Sure. I'm sure they could. I definitely don't think it should be like a permanent menu item or anything like that, but it was far from the worst thing I've had. It was okay. Would I still probably get my regular order over it? Would I still get because normally I get orange chicken. Would I just still get orange chicken? Yeah, probably. I'll be honest, I think the orange chicken is probably spicier. But it was okay. So that was the first thing I tried. The other thing I tried, Little Caesars. Little Caesars is testing out Artisan I don't want to say flatbreads. They're not like California Pizza Kitchen flatbreads. They have a little bit more thickness to them, but they're testing out 3 flatbread pizzas. A double pepperoni, a garlic chicken, and I think it's a margarita was the last one. And I was like, okay, those sound interesting. So I tried all 3 of them because, I was only in town for a day or two. So I was like, fuck it. Normally I only try one at a time. But when am I going to have this scenario again? I might as well try all 3. So I tried all 3. And overall, I actually kind of liked them. I saw some people, when I originally saw this on the Reddit, because the only reason I knew about either of these 2 things is because of Reddit, because I saw them both on Reddit. And when I first heard about it, I was like, okay, whatever. Artisan, I know some people were oh, it's a smaller pizza, and they do come in a longer box. All right, you're gonna have to give me a minute. Something with my roommate. I'll be right back. Give me a minute. Alright. I think we're back. Don't even ask. What were we talking about? Like 20 fucking minutes ago? Okay, so I went to Little Caesars. They were testing. I'm in Albuquerque on a trip to see a baseball team, and they have artisan pizzas. They come in these longer boxes. I don't know, they felt, if you told me they're the same size as like a normal Little Caesars pizza, I would in no way be surprised. I have no idea if they're any bigger or any smaller, but I think they were the same size. But there's a double pepperoni, a margarita, and a chicken and garlic. The double pepperoni is just pepperoni. It's probably got more like it's got like more seasonings on it or something. I'm sure they do something to make it a little bit more artisan. But it literally, if you just told me, yep, it's just pepperoni, but with like the different style of bread, I'd believe you. The other two, though, are a little different. The margarita, it's a margarita pizza. It's got more tomato on it, it's got basil. It's got, all those artisan mix-ins. It was fine. I enjoyed it well enough. Again, I felt like I was getting a decent amount of pizza. It wasn't like a cracker thin crust or anything. It was fine. The chicken garlic one, on the other hand, I really enjoyed. I would honestly, if they bring these nationwide, I definitely would recommend just trying the chicken garlic one. Like, it's worth it just for that one. The chicken was decent. The garlic was decent. It was well cooked. It was good flavor. Overall, I really... Oh shit, I just remembered something. There's a level down there. I think I even know which level it is. Alright, we're gonna have to figure that out. But yeah, so I genuinely like the chicken and garlic one. If I were to recommend any of these three, I would recommend the chicken and garlic. I do think it was the best one. I think it was the most interesting. Yeah, it was genuinely good. And like, I'm not a big chicken on pizza guy. If you had told me which of these three would you like the most, I probably would have said the margarita, and I probably would have said the garlic one last. And no, I definitely think it goes pep, margarita, garlic being my favorite. It was good. I thought it was good flavor. I reheated it the next day in, the hotel microwave. Tasted fine. So overall, yeah, no. The Little Caesars artisan pizzas, if they take that nationwide, yeah, go for it. I was right. I know I said last stream we were going to do this one. I'm not doing the boat one. Fuck the boat one. But we'll do this one for sure. Oh shit, and we've got this nozzle. Ah, crap. So no, I enjoyed the Little Caesars artisan pizza. I think it was good. If you're in the area, definitely go give it a try. If it does come nationwide, I think it's worth it. I think it was good. Does it compare to like my fave pretzel crust? No, but it wasn't bad at all. And again, it was just kind of one of those things. I was in the area. I might as well try it. So yeah, those were the two special things I tried on my trip. And yeah, overall, yeah, it was a good trip. I went to some of the local places. I had some good food. And yeah, overall, it all kind of worked out. I had no issue getting into the baseball game. The game was fun. One of the things in Albuquerque is they have a nuclear museum. And I can be a big museum guy. And I'm always like, maybe next time I'll go try out the nuclear museum. Go see what that's all about. Never been. I've been to the balloon one near the park, but I've never been to the nuclear one. I don't know. Again, normally you go in October. And it wasn't too hot either. That's a nice thing, because that's another city, that gets very hot. So yeah, that's my trip. I guess, what other food things do I have? Because I still have more. So Sonic Burger. Sonic Burger has their new topped lemonades. So their sweet topped lemonades, they have 3 of them. a strawberry, a blueberry lavender, and just a classic lemonade. I tried them, and I'll be honest, I didn't think they were anything that special. You can only get them in one size, which is like a medium. The sweet top, I'm pretty sure it's just like a cold foam or something. Kind of like what you'd get at like a coffee place. Like, I don't think it's anything that good or that special. It didn't, like, I don't know if you're supposed to like mix it into the drink or if you're just supposed to like have it at, like, as you sip. All right, there's all, now we just got to get back in there. Oh shit. I almost had that on my first try. Gosh dang it. Alright. So yeah, I don't... So let's keep with this one. The sweet top didn't really do anything for me. I mostly felt like it got mixed in at like the bottom of the drink. Especially with the strawberry one. I felt like all the ice and the strawberry pieces got mixed together with the sweet foam at the end. And I didn't really care for it. There are 3 of them, a blueberry lavender, a strawberry, and a classic, like lemonade. If I had to rank them, I'd say the blueberry lavender is the worst. If it was just blueberry, I'd probably be fine, because normally I do like a blueberry lemonade. Like Sonic used to have a blueberry lemonade that I really liked. But the lavender, I don't like drinking lavender. Lavender is like a fabric softener scent. A candle scent. I don't think of lavender as like a drink scent. I know some people, well, lavender tea and whatnot. Especially on a lemonade, that's not really how I think of it. The strawberry was fine. Again, it had strawberry pieces in it, but they all kind of sunk to the bottom. They got mixed in with the ice. I didn't really get that much of it. And so, yeah. And then finally, I'd probably say the classic was the best. It's just a simple lemonade with a cold top. I do like Sonic's cherry limeade. So admittedly, this is more of a lemonade than a limeade. But it was fine. Definitely not one of the best lemonades I've had, but also not one of the worst. So yeah, I wouldn't really recommend either of them. The other thing they had is they have new cheesy garlic pepperoni bites. So these are cheesy, garlicky. They're wrapped in like, not like a puff pastry dough, but like it's like a non-rising puff pastry dough. If I had to compare the filling to anything, maybe I'd say it reminded me of a pizza roll. I don't know. I've definitely tasted the filling before in another place. I just couldn't tell you specifically where I've had a filling like this. Like, it was okay. It was not the best filling I've ever had, but it wasn't the worst either. I got like a 7-pack, and I ate through all 7 pretty quickly. I didn't get any sauces. I know Sonic has like a marinara. I forgot to even like ask or try it. But just having, the simple pepperoni bites, they were fine. I honestly, they were better than all the lemonades. I don't know. Again, they remind me of maybe it was like a Hot Pocket. Maybe it is that Hot Pocket filling. Like, imagine like little Hot Pocket bites. That might not be a bad comparison. So if that sounds like something like a fast food, like little Hot Pocket bite, that might be something you're interested in, but I'd say like the Little Caesar pizza things were so much better. The Little Caesar pizza puffs are better. And honestly, the Little Caesar's puffs are probably only $2 more. And I feel like those are probably way more and way more filling. So yeah. But it's just another little treat at Sonic. I mean, they already do pretzels and mozzarella sticks and whatnot. Pickle fries. I admittedly don't know if they're still doing pickle fries, but they did. Yeah, it was okay. So, the last thing I tried, like a week or 2 ago, I complained that like, oh, it's been like, the last time Jack in the Box did anything new was Valentine's Day. Then, like, a few days later, Jack in the Box announced a bunch of new stuff. So, the first thing is they brought back the chicken and tater melt. Specifically, they have a chicken and tater melt, and they have a burger version. So, instead of getting, like, a chicken patty, you can get a burger. I originally, when I went to Jack in the Box, because I'll be honest, I did no cooking this week. I don't know if I don't think I said that already. I did not cook once this week. I've been so busy with other things and vacation and all that. I did no cooking. So when I went, I was like, okay, let's try. I've had the chicken and tater melt. It's good. Let's try the burger version. Maybe the burger version is good. And they didn't give me it. They instead just gave me a chicken one. So I did not try the burger version. I have no idea how good or bad the burger version is. Because they just gave me the chicken one. The chicken one is still fine. Like, if you like the chicken and tater melt, if you did back when they used to have it, you will probably still like this one. But I don't think it's like a huge departure. It tasted exactly like how I remembered it. And it's a chicken patty on a croissant bun with like 2 types of cheese and a hash brown patty. It's not bad. It's not bad at all. It's definitely weird. It's like one of their weirder options, but that's kind of what I like about it. So I tried that, and it came in like they're doing like a T-Pain collaboration. So it's a chicken and tater melt, a fries, just a normal thing, like a normal scoop. Okay, just don't screw it up. So it was the sandwich, some fries, a decent amount of fries. There we go. I did all that while almost throwing up. I don't know why I'm about to throw up. Okay. Chicken and tater melt, decent fries, a single taco, and then a double, it's called a stuffed chocolate chip cookie. So it's like a chocolate chip cookie, but they put like a layer of chocolate in it. I'll be honest, the layer of chocolate is negligible. I barely noticed it. It was just a chocolate, it was just a fucking fast food chocolate cookie. It was generic, wasn't anything great, but I've also had worse. So that was the meal. They also have drinks. They have a Sour Patch Kids. They're doing a Sour Patch Kid watermelon. They have a shake, a twisted soda, and a lemonade ? I know for sure they had a shake and a twisted soda. I think they might also have a lemonade. I tried both the shake and the soda. If you like Sour Patch Kids watermelon, yeah, sure. I'm sure you'll really like this. I'll be honest, I'm not a huge Sour Patch Kid watermelon guy. I'm not even a huge Sour Patch guy. It was okay. I definitely would not get it again. It was okay. It was definitely a Sour Patch Kids shake. There weren't like Sour Patch Kids pieces in it or anything, at least not as far as I can tell. Yeah, it just kind of existed, you know. I tried it. I was curious. It was fine. The twisted soda was also okay. Like, it definitely has that flavor. I think it's like a Sprite with the Sour Patch Kids base. Or it's like a base Sprite, some Sour Patch Kids syrup, and a like whipped cream on top. And yeah, it was okay. It was kind of whatever. It's not my style. That's the thing. And then the final thing is, so in the past, Jack in the Box has done like fries with like topped with like cheese and bacon. This time they're doing fries with like a special sauce. That one is a chili sauce, so it makes them like they're like seasoned. Like you know how like Wingstop does like fry seasoning that makes their fries just a little bit sweet. It's like that, but instead one sauce is like a chili flavor. So it's got like chili flakes and chili oil and whatnot. And then the other is supposed to taste like barbecue potato chips. The chili one, I tried the chili one first. The chili one was okay. I definitely got that chili flavor. It's one of those things where like there's like a bunch of like oil and seasoning that kind of falls to the bottom. So it's definitely one of those things where I recommend like dumping it out and kind of mixing it to get some more of that, because instead you'll get like a bunch of that oil and seasoning at the bottom. But it was okay. I thought it was fine, but it was it did have some, out of all the things I tried this week, this was the one with the most spice, weirdly enough. But so I had that, and then by the time I had that, I was kind of like, the barbecue potato chips were like the last thing I tried. That's a lot of food. So I was already full by that point. So I was like, yeah, let's just try the barbecue potato chips. And they were fine as well. I definitely liked them more than the other one. But I maybe have had too much. It's one of those things that I might need to try again. But they were okay. But I still do just prefer like the bacon cheese fries. Whenever they do those, I think those are better. Not a very big box. I mean, we talk about shrinkflation. If they had, I would have rather just have them sprinkle that stuff onto the fries I got in the Munchie meal. That had more fries than this little like Chinese takeout box full of fries. It was not that much. That was, or at least like if they had offered like a small and a large, that would have been okay. Again, Jack in the Box used to be like the Taco Bell of burger joints, where it was just cheap food that wasn't the greatest quality, but you know, if you were in the mood for it, it'd work out great. And then at some point after COVID, they basically rebranded themselves as like a more expensive burger joint. And since then, all their, like, the Munchie meal I got back in 2019, that's a chicken and tater melt, a bunch of fries, and it would have been 2 tacos, cost $6 back in 2019. In 2025, it cost 13 or 14. It's more than doubled in price. It might have been 13. It might be 13, and then I paid an extra $1 because I got it with a shake. That might have been it. But, or maybe was the so. I can't remember which one I got with which. Either way, it's almost doubled in price since 2016. And that's, or since, 2016, 2019. That's crazy. That is crazy. Because Jack in the Box used to be cheap, and that's what I loved about them. Is that they were the cheap burger joint. That as like a college kid, I could get a bunch of food for pennies on the dollar. And now the cheap burger place is fucking Chili's. I mean, with the price I'm paying for everything, it basically rounds to the same as anybody else. So yeah, that was that. I wouldn't go out of my way to get any of it. Not that it was bad, but I wouldn't go out of my way to get any of that stuff again. So that was my food journey this week. You know, it was weird. But hey, I was complaining that people didn't do anything, and this week they did. Next week we'll talk about Burger King, because Burger King's got a How to Train Your Dragon thing, and we'll talk about that. But that's all the food stuff I got. Let's talk about videos games. So, there's a game called Wilmot's Warehouse. It came out, I don't know, a few years ago. It's a game about organization. You play as a little cube named Wilmot, and you work at this warehouse. Products come in, you have a set amount of time to organize them, And then customers will come in, tell you, hey, I want this many of this product, this many of this product. You take it to them, and based on how quick you get so many stars. You can use stars to purchase upgrades. You have, like, every, like, few days, you have unlimited time to organize your stuff. And yeah, that's it. It's a very simple game that has, like, a lot of complexity underneath the hood. It's, like, right now the one that's going around, there's, like, one called, like, Nimby's Number Factory or something. That, like, they're not comparable at all. Like, they're completely different styles of games. But that's, like, the closest comparison I could make to what's going on. But it's an interesting game. It's a game that I really like, Wilmot's Warehouse, but I'm fucking terrible at it. Like, there's an easy and a hard mode. I kind of wish there was, like, an even easier mode, because I'm just so bad at it. My organization skills in that game are terrible. Like, I try to group things up by, like, color, and that never works out. But I still think, like, if you're into that kind of thing, you'll have a great time with it. I think it's a well-designed, simplistic but functional game. So I would definitely recommend it. Well, the reason I'm talking about Wilmot's Warehouse is because they did a sequel. It's called Wilmot Works It Out, and it's a puzzle game about making puzzles. You know, like a jigsaw puzzle? So you play as Wilmot, living in his house, presumably between days working at the warehouse. And you pay for, like, a puzzle delivery service. And so every day, a new puzzle from this puzzle delivery service works out. You have, you know, usually a complete puzzle, and then it comes with pieces of other puzzles. So, like, it's done in seasons. So, like, the first season, you'll have, you know, you'll get a box, it'll have one puzzle, and then it'll have, like, 2 pieces for a different puzzle. And then by the time you're at, like, puzzle 7, you've completed 7 of them, but you've also gathered all the side pieces to complete an 8th one, a bonus puzzle. And that's just kind of how the game works. You're just going through puzzle after puzzle. It uses the same control scheme as Wilmot's Warehouse. As far as I can remember, I'm pretty sure it uses the same system. And you're just, you know, there's a little story with, like, the postwoman, like, her mother's, like, sick. And clearly they're leading... I admittedly have not played much of it. I've only done the first 2 seasons so far. But it's just a simple little puzzle game about, you know, doing jigsaw puzzles. I think it's cute. I think it's fun. They got a lot of good artwork for all the different puzzles. And yeah, it's just... there are no time limits in this one. I think I'm enjoying this one more than Wilmot's Warehouse, just because there's no time limit. So I feel way less stressed. And, like, if you feel like... oh, because the next puzzle only arrives after you finish the one you're currently working on. So I realized, like, oh, if I want more time to organize, I can just finish the puzzle, but, you know, right before I do, leave out the last piece, organize the room and all, like, the bonus pieces I have, and then go back and finish it, so that way, you know, I've cleared space and everything. It works out, you know. I've been enjoying it so far. It's a very simple puzzle game, a lot of little fun artwork. I don't think it's I'm pretty sure I'm already, like, halfway through it. Maybe a little less so. I've done the first 2 seasons. It's cute, you know, Wilmot, the mail lady. There's a few other things going... like, there's clearly a whole background story with, like, your neighbor that's going on, and, like, I think they're moving or something like that. But no, so far I have been enjoying it. It's just, it's one of those games that's, like, right up my alley. Like, usually every year I have some sort of weird puzzle game that makes it onto my Game of the Year list, you know, Opus Magnum, not Donut County. Well, Donut County probably counts. Freshly Frosted. Freshly Frosted was a conveyor belt game about donuts. So this one, I could totally see this one fill into that spot, because I think Wilmot's Warehouse might have done that spot a few years back. I don't know, it's one of those things I'd have to look up. Wilmot's Warehouse was in my honorable mentions for Game of the Year 2019. So it did not make my final list, Because, again, I'm terrible at it. But it made my honorable mentions. And that weird puzzle game that year was Baba Is You. Yeah. Wow, I forgot that. That released that same year. So yeah, I've been playing Wilmot Works It Out. Hopefully, maybe by next week I'll have beat it. I don't know. Every game I want to play, or I'm currently playing, I kind of have to beat by Thursday, before Thursday, so by Wednesday. Because once the Switch 2 comes out, it's just Mario Kart. I say that like I'm not going to continue playing other games. But, that's the plan. So that was the main thing so that was like the new thing I played. Because I actually tried out the demo for this game during, I think, Steam Next Fest. I tried out the demo a while ago. I'm sure we talked about it on another one of these shows. But, so the other game I've been playing is Cookie Clicker. If you know what Cookie Clicker is, it's a game where you click a cookie and your goal is to make, a secadactylian cookies. Or whatever the fucking ridiculous number is. It's one of those games where it's like, it's easy to play, but then to actually, like, get all the achievements, it takes, like, 300 plus hours. I have 100%ed Cookie Clicker before. On Steam. Way back during the pandemic, in, like, I think September and October, during the pandemic. That was all I did. I worked on Cookie Clicker basically non-stop for that basically 2 months. And recently Cookie Clicker got ported to Switch, to PS5, I think to Xbox as well. And so I was like, it's $5. Fuck it. Let me just pick it up, boot it up again, and I'll mess around with it for a little bit. I want to say, I should lead off with this. I do not recommend picking up this game. One, because it's, of course, the 300-hour-long grind. Two, because it's much better on Steam, where you can, auto-click with, like, a mouse wheel and whatnot. But three, the Switch... I've been playing the Switch version. The Switch version kind of sucks. The game is... For a game that is simply about clicking cookies, it is so unbelievably laggy. This game should not be this laggy. It is so poorly optimized. I'm not going to say it barely works, but the frame rate is awful. The controls are kind of, like, they don't have touchscreen controls. How the fuck do you launch a game called Cookie Clicker where I can't put my Switch in portable mode and click with my finger? There was this weird oversight with golden cookies where it wants to, like, where you have to, like, enter a separate mode to click on golden cookies. But while in that separate mode, you can't click on anything else. Which, I mean, that's nice to avoid an accidental clicking. But it's just really inconvenient sometimes. I think, I know it wasn't the main developer, Oglyph? I know it wasn't he got some third-party company to do this port. They did not do a great job. Now, he has already, I did read a thing from the developer on Reddit that he's already come out and he's like, yes, we will. I know the port's kind of buggy, kind of broken. We will be fixing it. They have already released one patch that has made things better. Not insanely better, but I'll tell you, the menus are a lot less laggy now. They still are laggy. Just like it was almost opening up like the achievement menu to see how many achievements you have. The game basically went down to like a frame a second. It was fucking bad. It's better now. Not a lot better, almost. But it's better. But I don't know how this port... I could probably... You know how there's a way on Switch to, like, open up an internet browser tab? I could probably open up an internet browser tab, go to the Cookie Clicker website, and it would probably run better than how it currently does on the Switch port. Potentially. Because it's not optimized at all. The Steam... Oh, if you're going to play this game, play the Steam version. It runs so much better. It is, again, like 1,000 hours. It takes like 300 hours. But if you're willing to put in that grind, luckily, I still kind of remembered a lot of what to do. Not everything. There were some things I had to Google because I haven't done it in a long time. Specifically, like what gods to worship, certain upgrades to do in what order. But a lot of it, I was actually surprised at how much I remembered. I'll admit, I put like 30 hours into it. I have not ascended yet. If you know, there are certain times you're supposed to like ascend and get like prestige levels. The first prestige level you're supposed to do is like at 365. I haven't gotten to 365. I think I'm prestige like 30 something. So I've gotten some. But for your first prestige, you have to bake like 86 quintillion cookies, and I'm only in the quadrillions. So I've still got a ways to go, but I'm working on it. I don't know how much I'm going to put into Cookie Clicker. I don't plan on putting my entire life, soul, and being like I did last time. But, you know, it's something to do while I'm, you know, listening to an audiobook. Which, I didn't even put Dungeon Crawler Carl in here. I've been on the drive up, I finished the 3rd book, and by the drive back, I'm almost done with the 4th. I've got maybe like an hour or 2 left in the 4th audiobook. I didn't even put that on the list. Maybe I'll talk about it at the end if I remember. I don't know. Again, our goal is just to get like 50 stars. Yeah, how much time have I? Yeah, I have 2 hours left in the 4th audiobook. Even though something happened in the 4th one that did kind of put me off for a few days. Like I eventually picked it back up yesterday, but there was a thing that happened, and I kind of stepped away and didn't touch it again for like 4 days, which is crazy because basically any free time I've had has gone to either Cookie Clicker or Dungeon Crawler Carl. Sometimes both. But that's what I've primarily been playing. So, yeah. Again, I'm ready for Mario Kart. It's like 4 days away. And I should be getting a Switch. God, I hope so. I mean, fuck. I told that story earlier before I left. Okay. Let's talk about my mother's gameplays. So, she's been playing Splatoon, but something I have not been talking about. Both my mother and my father have been playing Balatro. And they've been getting into Balatro competitions to see, like, who can get the farthest, who can get the best scores. So they've been playing Balatro. And where are they? They've both had successful runs. I think my father's was on the red deck. And his big thing was he was using the 2 pairs of pants, the vampire, and I want to say the celestial. I'm done with this level. This level's annoying me. I cannot get the Yoshi controls right. So those were the cards he was using. He was using the celestial, the vampire, maybe the campfire. Was he using the campfire? He was using some card that was when he bought stuff from the shop, it would like increase his multiplier. And he had a successful run. My mother, meanwhile, she had a successful run where it was with the blueprint. You know, like the blueprint copies the card to the left. She was using the blueprint to copy, I think was it the campfire? And she basically got like a 4 times multiplier out of it. And it was just kind of riding her all the way. Admittedly, I helped her more than I helped my father. He doesn't want my input. But I gave her, she's had 2 successful runs. That was her second successful. And which I'd say I inputted maybe like 10%. Basically, she'd be looking at like the jokers to buy. She'd ask me, should I buy that? And maybe every once in a while I'd like nod my head, or she'd ask me, which one do I sell? And I'd like give her like a number of what I think. But I tried to stay at like 10%. Her other run, on the other hand, her other successful run, was probably 90% me. I told her what jokers to buy. That was she had a pair of pants. So 2 pairs. She had another card that played off 2, that gave her like a +8 if she played 2 pairs. she had the face card that turned all cards into faces. And she had the card where every face card gives a 5 times multiplier. Plus she had one other thing that was giving her a times multiplier. I just don't remember which one it was. I think she had 6 cards because I think she had a negative joker. But basically every round she was getting +5. Like basically for playing the 2 pairs she was getting +8. For playing the 4 of a kind she was getting +25. Or 20, yeah, +20. And then her pair of pants got to like 80. She made it to round 10. I was the one who picked her jokers and everything. She just had to play 2 pairs. Like that was her thing. She just had to find the 2 pairs. Was it a card with like aces? Where for every ace in her deck she got a multiplier? It was something like somehow she had a final card that gave her like a multiplier. Maybe it was the one where it's like for every planet card played, you get a multiplier. For every card over the deck, you got a... Somehow she was getting another multiplier. And it was a really good run. I think she got up to ante 10, which was like 10... She had to get like over 1 million. And that was where the deck finally hit it stalled. Because it couldn't break 1 million. But yeah, that was a good run. But yeah, I basically picked her jokers. But, you know, she was able to do another run, another successful run, and prove that she could do it. But yeah, so that's what they've been doing with Balatro. I've also done a few rounds, you know, watching them play. I was like, fuck, I kind of want to play again. And my runs, you know, kind of the same thing. They've gone okay. Admittedly, my runs haven't been that great. I was using Vampire, where, you know, for every card, you get the enhanced cards. It eats them and gains the multiplier. And that was going okay. But I think, basically, I finished ante 8 and then immediately lost. Like, it was barely able to make it over ante 8 to get the 100,000. So, yeah, that's kind of where I was at with that one. But, you know, it's Balatro. It's good. If you've never played, oh my gosh, it's really good. It was my second favorite game last year. So what about her Splatoon 3? Of her 10 weapons, or of the 12 weapons you can complete runs in, she has beaten 10 of them. I was on Friday. The reason I didn't do the show on Friday was because I was over there because she did 2 runs. She did a heavy splatling run and a... was it a sniper run? I think she did the sniper run. Both of them were successful. The sniper one barely fucking made it. She cut it... Because she's gotten big into continues. She's got 5 lives. She usually saves up all of her money for continues. And I think she spent... what was it, like... Probably like close to like $6,000 on continues. But she did do it. She did whatever her final set of continues was, she did it on her first one of that set. So she technically still had another 3 tries. But she was able to do the sniper. The Hydra Splatling, she beat with like 4. She beat in just like the 4 lives you get. She didn't have to use a single continue. And she was kind of disappointed, like, oh, I've saved up all this money and I didn't even get to use it. The Hydra Splatling, because she had never used a Splatling before. Technically, that's wrong. She used 1 and 2. She just doesn't remember. So, you know, she went in with the Hydra Splatling. And overall, you know, it kind of worked out. So, she did that. That worked out. And yeah, now the only weapon she has left is the bow. So we'll see how the bow does. That's the one weapon she's got left to do. And then, of course, the final weapon, which she has no idea what that is. I've had her steer clear of risky rewards. But, like, we'll see, I guess. But that's kind of where she's at. Alright, so let's talk about my final thing, which is Lilo and Stitch. We do have enough stars, but that didn't open. So maybe we need to get one more? So let's talk Lilo and Stitch real quick, and then I want to end off, because I've been going for too long. So for Lilo and Stitch, I had heard this movie was bad. You know, just another terrible Disney remake. But going into it, the one thing I knew was that at the end of the movie, Nani gives away Lilo to Child Protective Services. So that was like, oh yeah, that totally undoes the point of the movie. I see how that's an awful decision. No wonder everybody hates this movie. So when I heard Nani gives away Lilo to Child Protective Services, again, spoiler alert for this whole film, my thought was that, oh, the government forces her to give away Lilo. Because, like, in the movie, the original, Cobra Bubbles threatens to take Lilo, puts her in the car, and then eventually, like, something happens and she gets, like, taken away. Like, I think Gauntu shows up and takes her away and kidnaps Stitch, and they go to save her. It's like a whole thing, and then she gets kidnapped and Stitch gets away. It's a whole thing. In this, it's like, okay, I thought, like, oh, you know, Cobra Bubble takes Lilo away from Nani, and then she gets put with, like, a nice white American family, and Nani goes off to, like, live her dream of going to college, completely abandoning Lilo. The way people are talking about this online, that's just kind of how I thought this movie turned out. That's not what happens at all. I feel like, you know, we talked about a lot about how people are being disingenuous with the Switch 2. I feel like a lot of people are being disingenuous with this ending. Not that it's not a bad ending. Not that this is a good movie. This is not a good movie. I do not think this is a great ending, especially compared to the original. Yeah, comparing to the original, this ending's god awful. But I feel like people are giving this in the worst possible light. When what happens is that, yes, the government steps in and takes Lilo away from Nani. But she gives her to David's grandmother, her literal next door neighbor. Nani is allowed to come visit at any point, and they have a portal gun that allows her to visit anytime she wants. Plus, it's not like they've even moved houses. She's still living in the same house that they rebuild, like they do at the end of the original. Like, I get it. It is still wrong that she gives up Lilo to the state. That this is colonialism, it's the American government stepping in and telling people what to do. I get that. That is still a problem. But what actually happens? No, I thought this was going to be way worse. Again, I thought she was going to end up with some, like, white family. Or, you know, maybe she's going to go to Japan and they're going to do the anime or something like that. That's not what happens at all. She's with the neighbor. She's with David's grandma. And now, I get another problem people have is that Nani doesn't go to school in Hawaii. She instead goes to school in San Diego. And they changed Nani's whole subplot, because in the original movie, she's like a professional surfer who gives up her dreams of being a professional surfer to raise Lilo. Whereas in the movie, yeah, she's still a good surfer, but instead she wants to be a marine biologist. And she gets a scholarship to San Diego University, or, you know, some American school. When, you know, people are, like, rightfully like, yeah, the universities on Hawaii have some of the best, you know, marine biology programs in the country. I get that. That is a good complaint, and I've seen some people say, well, oh, she did it, but she only went to San Diego because she got a scholarship. And the response is, well, wouldn't, you know, based on Hawaii programs, wouldn't she have also gotten a scholarship there? And I mean, yeah, sure, probably. But the Nani going to San Diego because she had a scholarship, I don't think is the worst thing ever. Like, yes, would it have been better if maybe she was just on a different one of the Hawaiian islands? Because they're not on Honolulu. They're on one of the other ones. So, like, if she was just going to one of the different islands, I feel like that would be a lot less problematic. And that, you know, I get it. Because in the original movie, the only reason Nani doesn't give Lilo up to the state is because the ground councilwoman steps in and is like, hey, you and Stitch are protected. That's why I'm not going to separate you guys. Whereas in this, it's that literally Nani asks, like, hey, because of everything that just happened, can me and Lilo stay together? And the service worker is just like, no, this doesn't change that. Which, again, I think it's just a bad decision overall. But yes, this is still a bad ending, but I don't think this is, people have blown this way out of proportion. I do not think this is as bad as people want it to be. Yes, did they remove a lot of, like, the tourism themes from the original, making fun of tourists coming to Hawaii, and that because Disney now has a Hawaiian resort, and is this more colonialism? Yes to both those things. And yes, this is, compared to the original, this movie's fucking dog water. But I feel like people are blowing the badness of this movie way out of proportion. I do not think... Here's the thing I'll say. When this movie is being Lilo and Stitch, when it's Stitch, Nani, and Lilo, I don't actually think it's that bad. When they're basically one for one recreating scenes from the original movie, I don't think it's that bad at all. It's when they're doing anything new that this movie really suffers, that this movie really sucks. So they got rid of Gantu. He's no longer in the movie. Instead, they made Jumba the main villain. And he even has, like, a surprise, like, hey, twist reveal, guess what? I'm gonna betray Pleakley, and now I'm gonna be the villain. And that sucks. Honestly, because, well, yes, Stitch, he starts off bad, and then he slowly becomes good. He's, like, 70% bad in the original. And they, like, slowly erase it. Like, they don't do that in this. Well, they do reference that scene, but not like that. But it's also Jumba goes along with them. So does Pleakley is always good. I know they got rid of Pleakley's cross-dressing, and they got Discount, who voices King Candy? Who is the resident alien? Alan Tudyk. They got Discount Alan Tudyk to do it. And then Jumba doesn't have the accent. They got Zach Galifianakis, which, I'll be honest, I wouldn't have minded. I get it. CGI is expensive. No matter how, rich of a company Disney is, they're not going to pay the money for expensive CGI. Or if they did, it's not going to look good, right? Because they would rush it, because they always do. I get that. That's why they made the changes to use less CGI. But you could have at least have whoever was playing Pleakley either get a trans person, get a woman, just do something with it. Man, you could have done something. And I know the director says he tried. Because that was the only reason I was interested in seeing this, is because the director, Daniel Fleischer Camp, the director, Fleischer Camp, I really loved Marcel the Shell with Shoes On. If you have never seen the A24 movie, Marcel the Shell with Shoes On, highly recommend it. I cried my fucking eyes out. But it's a mess. It is a mess of anytime they're trying to do something new. And then when they're not trying to do something new, when they're just doing something from the original probably did it better. Just saying. The medium of animation does more than the medium of live action does. So that drove me. So that's bad. All the little changes they make just don't work. Nani's actress, I want to say Lilo's actress is native Hawaiian, but Nani's isn't, and they clearly gave her a tan, and I don't really like the feeling of that. To be fair, I don't know if the original voice actors were native Hawaiian. I don't think they were, but that's voice acting. That's a whole different thing. This movie. I'm not gonna say it's terrible. I'm sure if you take a kid to see this, they will enjoy this movie. It still has a lot of what made the original Lilo and Stitch so good. But show your kid the original. It still is good. It still holds up. At least I assume it still holds up. I see no reason why it wouldn't hold up. It was a really good movie. the original. I loved the original as a kid. I loved the original. I loved the TV show, the prequel and sequel movies. Lilo and Stitch 2 made me cry as a kid. Oh my gosh. Stitch dying at the end of 2. Oh my gosh. I know he doesn't die. I guess allegedly in the original version he did, but he doesn't in the one that hit theaters. Still, it fucking gets you. But no, I think anytime this movie is trying to do something new, it doesn't work. Whereas the original, everything the original did was good. So I can't recommend this. I really can't. But the other thing is, even though this has its problems, this is still not the worst Disney live-action movie. I will stand by that. This isn't even the worst Disney live-action movie to come out this year. Fucking, Snow White was worse than this. So no, this is not the worst Disney live-action movie this year. Snow White was worse than this. What's the other one? Honestly, the only Disney live-action remakes, Mulan was worse than this one. The only one that I've actually liked were Cinderella and The Jungle Book. The one from a few years ago. Those are the only 2 live-action Disney movies I've actually liked. I feel like every other one is... I mean, I think they're all probably worse than the original, but like those are the 2 that like get the closest. Because I do like the I think it was like 2015 Cinderella. I do still stand by that one. I mean, no, I get all the problems with this one. I think some people are being disingenuous with it. That I don't think it's as bad as they make it out to be. I get the problems. I'm sure there was a way, in like a single rewrite, there was a way to do what they wanted, to, you know, have Lilo stay in Hawaii and have Nani go to school, to make it all work. I'm sure there was a way to do it. And like, I think introducing David's mom, grandma, was actually a good idea. I think that worked. Like, that's one of the few new things that worked. Also, I didn't mind the new... Because Cobra Bubbles kind of takes on this weird, like, CIA role that, like, it feels completely different to how he was in the original movie. Because the original... Here's the other thing. In the original Lilo and Stitch, there are no bad guys. It's just people doing their job. It may be a hard job, it may not be a good job, but they're just doing their job. Whereas this one, no, they're clearly establishing Jumba is the villain. But it's just messy, it's sloppy. I still love Lilo and Stitch, and I know because I love the original, that should mean I hate this one because of all of its flaws, but the things that do work, like, when it was being the original Lilo and Stitch, I was having a good time, even if it's not as good as the original Lilo and Stitch. I'm fully well aware of that. Man, it was a fucking mess of a movie. Alright, we're just gonna beat this level. That should get us to the final boss. So, if we have time, we'll talk about Dungeon Crawler Carl. The last thing I have on my thing, though, is Rick and Morty. So, the Season 8 premiere of Rick and Morty came out. Yes, I'm still watching Rick and Morty. And it was okay. The whole premise of this episode was that it was Rick... Basically, Summer and Morty stole his phone charger. So Rick traps both of them in the Matrix to, like, learn the lesson. And then once they do, you know, he forgets about them. So they're stuck in the Matrix for 17 years. They get out, and then they're pissed at him. Morty builds a killdozer. Summer becomes a killjoy, specifically shitting on her mom. It was an okay finale. I feel like the premise was good of them being locked inside a thing, and then, like, that completely changing them personality-wise. I think that was a fun concept, especially because later on they lock Rick in the Matrix and like the prompt is like, you shouldn't lock other people in matrices, so then he has to like matrix even harder. I think that was a fun idea. They do a whole killdozer thing where, Morty's gonna blow up a nuclear power plant because he's got PTSD from being in the war. Because Morty in the simulation couldn't die, Summer used him as like a soldier, and there's like a bunch of like jokes about like plugs and chargers and whatnot. And yeah, it was okay. It's far from the best season premiere the show has ever had, but then again, it's fucking 8th season of Rick and Morty. I never expect this show to be good ever again. So having an okay-ish season premiere, yeah, there's no, at least I don't remember there being any incest talk. There's no incest, there's none of that bullshit that, Dan Harmon's got up to later in his career. It was all around a perfectly okay Rick and Morty season premiere. I wasn't really impressed with it, but I didn't hate it either. Again, a lot of the Charger pun jokes were good. There's like a whole, like, they do like a terrorist style execution, but it's just cutting the cord off of a charger. I thought that was funny. There's a lot of little things like that. Summer ends up going to Santa Fe, New Mexico again, and where they like, you find out they're all vampires. That's how they stay young, by feeding off of other people. That was good. That was a good joke. But yeah, overall, it was a fine episode. It was a fine episode for 8th season Rick and Morty. I guess I'll put it like that. Like, I've seen better Rick and Morty, obviously, but I don't think the show will ever be able to reach those numbers again. So, we take what we got. What we got here, yeah, it wasn't so bad. I don't know, they're still putting... This is a show that's going to go on forever. This is the next Simpsons, the next South Park. Just a show that's going to keep getting episodes. Because, like, what the fuck else are people going to watch? Game Changer. Go watch Game Changer. We talked about crowd control. Yeah, we must have talked about crowd control last week. And then there is a new season of South Park coming. But it's weird because they seem to have been planning this one ahead. I don't know. South Park's in a whole bunch of drama for a whole bunch of reasons. That's totally of their own making, but whatever. Ugh. So... Let me look something up real quick. Because here's our... So, I found out we have 50 stars, but we didn't unlock the gate at 50 stars. That's why we came in here to get our 51st. How many shines? How many shines to beat Mario Sunshine? It says 49. Does this... No, that didn't unlock it. So, reading here, we need to get the first 7 shines from every world. So, we're not done with Sunshine. We've gotten 7 shines in some of the worlds, but not all of them. So, I figured that was coming, but fuck. So, I guess we'll be back I would say we'll be back next week to finish off Sunshine, but next week is Mario Kart. So, or later this week. Either way, this is where I'm going to end off. We'll be back later this week with Mario Kart, with Summer Games Fest. Should be a heck of a lot of fun. So I'll see you all then. I hope you all enjoyed. Stay tuned for more. Till next time, peace.